This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to another dawn in the African wilderness. We are just getting going for the morning and hopefully it will be a productive one. There certainly was lots of things around last night, so hopefully we will have a good one. My name's Tristan. On camera I've got a Craig this morning and it is a beautiful, beautiful start to our day. We should have a really nice sunrise just now. There's no clouds about and so it should be quite spectacular. Now thank you to all of you that did participate and let us know about all the ongoings around the dam cam with the wild dogs and their puppies and the lions roaring and leopards sawing. It's always very much appreciative and it would be nice if you all continued to interact with all of us, and you can do so by going #SafariLive on Twitter, or you go onto YouTube chat and use @FC. Remember to keep the questions relevant and to just ask, and FC will try their very best to address as many questions as possible, and we'll try to get through as many as we can as well. Now, we did have a Nyala with us and they are slowly drifting away. Now, we're not going to spend too much time with these Nyala because we are on the trail of the dogs. They were running south down Twin Dams Road. We had the tracks just now. So I just wanted to check at the junction here with Ingwe Alley if they may be cut west or continued south. I would imagine that these dogs are probably not going to be actually on Jume anymore. Now, the reason why is that there were a lot of lions shouting a lot at Galagopan, and that would have sent any wild dog moving rather swiftly in the opposite direction. So I wouldn't be surprised these guys are already out at Twin Dams, but let's give it a try and see if we can find them. Quite keen to see the wild dogs, especially given that they have got puppies at the moment. Now, some of you may have seen pictures of them at the dam cam, or may have heard that they are only 5 puppies. It is correct that they are only 5 now. There's not 6 anymore. Unfortunately, one of them was killed by hyenas and was basically, yes, killed and eaten by them and was dragged around to, I think it was just to our southwest of where we are now. So, you know, unfortunately it does happen. Wild dogs mortality in pups is so high, it's quite regular to see puppies being killed. In fact, 50% of puppies will generally be killed by, well, natural things really, and so they have a high mortality rate, and it is to be expected that puppies unfortunately get themselves into trouble. Now, and the problem that we have as well is that it's still a little bit dingy, so tracking has actually been quite tricky this morning. I've been struggling to see the tracks, but it still looks like they're running on this left side of the road. There's a lot of disturbance. There's a problem hyenas up and down. So Company, they've it actually sounds like a good business name. Maybe Corky and Company would be a good plant, or a painter Corky and Company. I don't know. Anyway, it sounds like a good business name, but they've also been around all over the place. So it would be difficult to see their tracks between the dog tracks in this kind of light, but hopefully we'll get it right. Anyway, while we look out for these out here, there's Scotty D, the legend, out in the Mara, and well, he wants to say good morning to all of you.
I'm confident you will get it right, Tristan. All you need is a bit more light and you will find whatever animal it is you're trying to track down. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Masai Mara. My name is Scott, and I'm teamed up with James, Kai, Moe Murithi on camera. It is another glorious day here in the Mara. The sun has just pricked up over the horizon, and it was quite a windy night, but the wind seems to have died down, so perfect conditions for us to be out on safari. And I'm looking forward to my last drive with all of you guys, as this is it for me. Cool Breeze, you would like to know how much sleep do we get before a morning drive? Well, that all depends on whether there was a party or not the night before, really. It does vary. Last night I got to bed at 10:30 and woke up at 5:15, so 7 hours, 7-ish. We often also get to have midday siestas, which is probably a big reason why I've stayed in the safari industry for so long. It's something that I really enjoy doing. But we kind of bob and weave, Cool Breeze. Sometimes we spend whole nights out. Sometimes we spend long days out. Sometimes we've got kind of extra crew members in camp. So you kind of work 2 drives on, 1 drive off. It all really varies. There's nothing that is kind of cast in stone whilst on safari or whilst working for SafariLive. The Juma crew are getting up at 4:30 in the morning, so it's pretty tricky going for them. Interestingly, here on the equator in Kenya, the sunrise doesn't alter hugely and sunset, the times thereof. It's usually kind of 6:30 sunset, 6:30 sunrise, which allows you to have kind of a uniform kind of safari schedule throughout the year. Whereas down in South Africa, the kind of sunrise and sunset times fluctuates greatly between summer and winter. So summer can be tough. You head out late in the afternoon into the night and wake up at the crack of dawn for early sunrises. So you tend to not get too much sleep at night, and you can sometimes possibly get half your sleep at night and the other half during the day, during your midday siesta. But here we got it a bit more easy. So my plans are to probably skirt past the territory of the Owino Pride. I'm so happy that David managed to relocate with all 5 of them yesterday. It's a pity none of us were there to watch Butternut and Regina reunite with the other 3. And I actually haven't seen any of the footage of the poor young male, but I'm told he's not looking in a good state. He's obviously been mauled by some other lions, and he's got some serious-ish injuries on his back. I'm told now by Nikki, who's directing the show. Not terrible, but there's a few scratches and scars. So yeah, it'll be cool to touch base with them. Failing that, we'll push on deeper south into the Sausage Tree Pride's territory, and who knows, maybe we will get lucky in finding those 2 little cubs. Hopefully the mothers maybe brought them down from where she was hiding them up on the kind of midway up the escarpment, which is sadly inaccessible to us in the vehicles. Okay, wonderful guys. Well, we're going to keep on keeping on and send you back down to Tristan, who I'm hoping has a little bit more light for his tracking.
Well, hopefully we do, Scotty. Same with you. Hopefully you'll have some luck as well with your tracking endeavors, and that you will find the Owino Pride. I suppose you don't do much tracking there, but you definitely look hard for animals in the Mara, and so hopefully Scott will get some luck. Now, I've lost the tracks for these dogs. The last tracks I had were at Chelapan, and I'm trying to work out now where exactly they've headed from there. It looked like they cut off down in towards the drainage line, and we're going towards kind of Nyala Road, Vulture's Nest area, but at this stage I can't pick up any sign of them coming into Wati, which is quite strange. You thought you would have seen it quite easily. It's still difficult to see tracks from the front here. Them on the side's okay, but from the front it's a little tricky. So just trying to work out which way they went. Could have obviously taken the complete opposite path and gone down Pangolin track, because that's kind of roughly where the tracks were sort of disappearing. There's a few dikers around, which means that generally wild dogs are a lot further than I'm giving them credit for. And we know dogs, when they start moving, can go quite fast, irrelevant if they have puppies with them or not. It looks like they might have run around here. There's quite a bit of a disturbance on this. There we go, well done Wendy. Just going to try head to where I had the last tracks, but like, given that there's a few dikes around, I don't think that these are anywhere close. I apologize about the bit of picture breakup that we've had. It's in the Mulwati system, we sometimes get it. It's ideal. I'm going to have to try and squeeze through to suck in. Apparently still got a bit of breakup, and so while we try to get there.
Well, that is one of the catches with cruising the wonderful Mulwati. Sometimes the signal is a bit shaky, but you couldn't have joined us at a better time. What a beautiful scene this is. With at least one ellie for now. There's more that we'll show you later. And a journey of giraffe in the background. It's a pity about this tree in the middle of the frame, but I forgot my chainsaw back at camp, so there's nothing we can do about that. Beautiful. How awesome is this place? What a treat to be able to take you guys around here. It really is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been lucky enough to work in. And I'm hoping we get spoilt rotten today. But to be honest, we've already been spoilt rotten just with these scenes, so we shouldn't be greedy. We'll take whatever we can get. Here's the rest of the herd, slowly cruising along. Hi Bobby, you'd like to know how coarse is the hair on an elephant's tail? It's extremely coarse and also quite thick. I'm not sure if you're a fisherman, Bobby, but if you think of kind of the thickest fishing line you've come across, that's kind of what it feels like, and also just about as thick as it is. It can even be made into bracelets, and yeah, that's where I've seen how thick it is. Guess we don't want to go too far down this road. I'm not sure how they get the hair off the elephant's tail to turn it into a bracelet, but it's coarse and thick. Wonderful stuff. Now, while I was lying in bed last night, we heard lots of lions roaring. Not too close. The Olololo Pride, which sometimes kind of hangs out right below our camp, hasn't really been around for a while. I did interestingly see what I'm pretty sure is 2 young boys from the Olololo Pride that were very far south, not too far from where we had Butternuts and Regina yesterday, so they seem to have lost track of the pride. So and they're probably the same 2 that some of you might remember seeing the other night. Bobby, you're asking me whether it's thick line like Fortuna. I haven't heard of Fortuna, but I'm not too clued up with fishing. I enjoy fishing, but I'm not... Oh, fishing Fortuna. Yes, like fishing Fortuna. I thought you were calling it like a certain brand of fishing line called Fortuna. But yes, line capable of catching yourself a tuna or a marlin is as thick as the elephant's hair on the end of their tail. Hopefully, I mean, later on we might be able to get close enough for James to be able to zoom into one's tail and be able to show you. That will be probably the most useful way of working things out. Yeah. Is the punch zoom button not working? Hey? Shame, James's camera is in need of open heart surgery, so he can't get out of the punch zoom, so you'll just have to enjoy a close-up of me for the time being. Actually, let's hold on a second. I want to try and show Bobby there's a nice big bull here, and we might be able to give you a decent idea of how thick the hair is on the elephant's tail. Let me just get into a good spot. Okay. Yeah, this I think is going to work quite well. So just punch straight into the tail there, James. I don't know how close we're going to be able to get. I mean, you get an idea from that. They're certainly not fine hairs. Oh no, they go behind a tree. But don't be embarrassed about your tail's hairstyle. Or is it just wanting to scratch his bottom? Come on, give us a good old scratch there. Carol, you would like to know, is it as quiet as it looks? There we go, there's some good views, Bobby. Yes, I mean, there are periods when it's absolutely dead quiet, but as Nikki was reading me that question, I heard some buffalo bellowing behind us. And of course, you know, depending on whether there's a bird cheeping as and when you're listening. Which camera have we got? Is the ambience working on this one, James? Yeah, so yeah, the one thing that we've battled to kind of get right is our ambient audio. So very often I will hear things even though my hearing is terrible and you guys won't. So it's one thing that, you know, in time as technology improves, I'm pretty sure that we will be able to get you guys a better idea of exactly what it sounds like out here. But for now, you definitely are not hearing as much as I am. So that's something to look forward to. Ooh, is this guy going to shake this tree for us? Come on, buddy. Give it a good old shake. Huh? No. He sidestepped it at the last second. But maybe the next one. These Balanites trees are fruiting at the moment, so Ellies are prone to giving them a good old shake to get the fruits to fall down. Let's see. Let's just give it a second, because I've got a feeling he is going to do it. Not that we're going to have the best angle, but I love just seeing their sheer power to be able to shake a massive tree of that size. No luck. Alrighty, well, I've got some distance to cover, and I want to try and get into a Wino turf before it gets too late into the morning, so we're going to send you across to Taylor to say good morning.
Hello everybody, good morning. Hi, I'm Taylor, as Scott just said, and VM is on camera with me as usual. Now, we were supposed to be on bushwalk, but we're in the car now, and those lions have kept me awake all day. Lion tracks going up and down here, but we just heard them roaring again, so I very quickly want to race to Buffelshoek Cut Line. Basically, if you were watching the sunset safari yesterday where we were sitting with Hosanna when he was at Tamboti Dam, we're going to just jump onto the boundary, quickly make sure that they haven't crossed or in the process of crossing, because it sounds quite far. And I'm kind of excited to see who it's going to be, because what time it was, very early, maybe 1:30 in the morning, maybe 1:30. I heard a lioness contact calling at Gallagher Pan, and then she did a couple of roars. It was just one lioness, and then there were some males that joined in at times and roared with her, but it doesn't sound like the whole pride. So I wonder if maybe Amber Eyes, who has not been with the Nkuhuma Pride for the last few days, is maybe on her way back and trying to find the rest of her family. But I don't know. It just didn't sound like very many lions at all. It sounded like a small group. So I'm not even going to worry too much about these tracks. There's male lion tracks going down this way. Let's quickly just check that they haven't gone around. This could have been from when they came back into camp or back into Juma last night. So I'm just also going to focus because I'm driving quickly and I'm trying to spot animals. So please bear with me that I don't look at all of you, but I'm sure you'd prefer me to find you an animal. I can't do that if my face is glued to the screen. I'll try and multitask here. Bit of speed and then also searching. I'll be very, very happy you can find lions. Chile, that they haven't stopped making a noise. They were only maybe about 100 meters away from me last night, and it was insane. It's always pretty cool to hear, but man, when they're through your windows at night, although I did open my door because it was very nice, but then I decided after about 10 minutes of it that enough was enough. Okay, go. We'll just quickly go onto Buffelshoek boundary, I think. Lots of animals walking around. Last night it seems like it was very busy. Oh, lion tracks all over. Benji, I think you're wishing for a bit much, thinking that it's probably going to be the Birmingham boys. I don't think we'll see the Birmingham boys again. I mean, they haven't shown face up in this section for a very, very long time. There's no need for them. They've moved on to greener pastures. They've got the best source of buffalo. There's constantly buffalo down where there are now. There's big river systems. There's lots of different prides of lions. They're not just restricted to like 2, 3 prides. They venture all over. So I think the Birmingham reign in the north is long gone, and no one has really taken it over just yet. Maybe the Evokers will at some point, but they're still spending quite a bit of time in the Manuleti. So there's actually a gap. We could essentially have another group of males come in and live in this area. Quite a big spot that they've got. Okay, so it sounded like it was on Mvubu Road, so I think we'll go down Mvubu Road. We'll just quickly check. If not, then I'll go and extensively check around Gallagher, but I have a suspicion that those tracks are on Gallagher from early this morning when they first came in. Right, we're going to keep looking for lions, and hopefully we do find some before they disappear. Let's go see if Tristan has picked up on any more dog tracks.
Well, no, unfortunately not, Taylor. I can't find where these dogs went. They seem to have done a disappearing act around Chelapan. Maybe they're just lying right there and I've just driven past them, but it doesn't seem that that would be the case. You know, normally dogs are quite easy to actually spot, given especially that there's puppies. What there is, though, is there's tracks for a female leopard here. Oh no, this must be Tundi as well, because it looks like there's 2 of them. Hold on. This is not real. It's going to be one of those days where I'm going to find tracks for everything that I'm looking for. So there is tracks for a female leopard heading that way. Okay, well, we'll come back to those. Let's try just quickly see if we can find these dogs. But it definitely looks like going back and forth. So hold on. Let's just double check which way these are going to go. So if you have a look on this right hand side of the road here, you can see that there's tracks going up and down, so going both directions. So there's a track that's heading that way, and then the other track's coming down this way. Those are both for female leopard. Now I wonder if maybe it's not Tundi and Tlalamba that have been moving around here. Where they were last night is actually not that far from here, so it's very possible. Okay, well, let's just quickly check one place for the dogs. If the dogs are not there, then I'm not sure, but I wouldn't mind following up on these leopard tracks. They look pretty good, so this is not the worst tracks to actually have. And interesting that they're going up and down. I need to actually come and check these out properly. Maybe there's a kill here somewhere, but we'll just try and drive in the kind of center of the road in order to not squash too many of the tracks, and we'll try and kind of figure it out. And so while I try and kind of concentrate and see what I'm actually doing here, let's send you back across to Scott and apparently what is a very beautiful Masai Mara this morning.
Good luck, Tristan. That's exciting prospects. I'm not sure when last you guys did see Tundi and Tlalamba, but I think it's been a while, so come on, Tristan, do your thing. Jeez. So it sounds like almost about 2 weeks. Haven't seen him. I think Tristan's going to solve that problem for you. He's going to want to prove to all the other guides that they don't know what they're doing. I'm only kidding. That is not true. But he is very good at tracking down the old leopards, Tristan. And he's well rested, rejuvenated after his trip to the Congo. Sure, it looked like they had an incredible time. What a place to be able to go and explore. I've never really done any serious kind of forests. I was lucky enough to spend a little bit of time. What's this area hawk doing? I don't know if we're going to be, if James's camera is going to be high enough. I could just see the top of a wing flapping, but there's a harrier hawk trying to pull something out of a cavity in this tree. And I'm situated about half a meter lower than he is. Oh, hang on. That's the vulture. Is it stuck? I think it's stuck in the tree. Well, it unstuck itself. Off it goes. But that was weird. Because, hold on everybody. Let me reverse a bit and stand on the bonnet and see if I can try and work out what on earth was going on there. Because harrier hawks are the likely candidate to be trying to pluck something out of a tree. Certainly not a vulture. So it's pretty weird. Unless there is something dead there. I've got a feeling that maybe its foot was kind of like stuck on a weird first aid. Got a puncture. Maybe its foot got stuck in a funny little crevice or something, because it was flapping around wildly as a harrier hawk would. It's very dusty. I hope Mr. Green Screen's watching. I don't know if it was a Mr. or a Mrs. The person that accused us, that thought they had cracked this code and we were undeniably using green screen to create this because the presenters wouldn't cough in the dust. Love that story. So now I make sure to cough whenever there's dust. I'm told a lot of you are laughing at my old gumboots. They've served me well. They've got a lot of mileage. Sadly, a couple of weeks ago they developed a puncture. I'm going to hand them over to Steve when he arrives. We have the same size feet. What's nice is that it's so easy to take them off. You see, just like that, it's off. So when it gets hot, there's no tying of laces or anything like that. It's not hot yet, so I'll put it back on. Oh, we've got caught in the traffic. It wasn't worth stopping for that vulture. Oh, young Daniel, just 15 years of age. You are asking me to find you a red-billed hornbill. That is going to be tricky where we are. There's a few hornbills that we see, but not too many, and not very often. However, Tristan and Taylor down in the Sabi Sands are in a far better place with both yellow-billed and red-billed hornbills. So I think you're going to have to ask one of them to try, because the only hornbills that we really see here are the southern grey hornbills, and I can't remember when last I saw one. So I'm confident Tristan or Taylor will be able to do that for you. We can ask both of them to do it. Okay, James is just acting as my review mirror because we don't have any, so he keeps an eye to see if any cars are coming, and there was one coming, but he worked out that it was far enough for us to move along safely. Very good. We're going to keep on heading south in search of the Awinos and send you back down to Taylor.
Right, we've just found lions, but I don't know what's going on here. There's two different sets of lions. There's these two, who are covered in mange, absolutely covered. Now, there's only one pride of lions that I know that have been unfortunately plagued by the mange, and those lions are from the Styx pride. Now, one of them looks like a male, this one on the left, but perhaps it is the young male from the Styx pride, and we know that it's definitely affected the growth of his mane. But maybe some of you can confirm. I wonder if Michael Fleetwood is watching, our resident lion expert. He's so good at identifying. Okay, so we've got these two. Now, hang on. Now I'm going to go up. They're sitting on top of one another. Hey, guys. There's a whole pride here. No, they're not unrelaxed. They're fine. They didn't get up and run at all. They're actually very relaxed. They're just nervous because there's an entire pride of lions here. This is the Nkuhuma pride of lions. I'm pretty certain of it, just by looking around and looking across. This looks like them. Now watching, or at least this one lioness is watching those two. Is this my favorite lion? No. I can't tell now. This is interesting. I'm just trying to quickly get a count with my binoculars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh goodness, it's a bit difficult. I think I've counted 10 lions laying there. They're all in a carpet of lions, which is particularly difficult. Actually 11. I didn't see the one lioness at the back that's just popped her head up. So very interesting. I don't know if anyone can maybe confirm it, if those are the two lions from the sticks. I mean, the last time I saw them was a couple of days ago. Maybe it's not even them. It could be 2 other lions. It's very, very difficult to kind of say, but that one is not looking so great. So if you do have any information to confirm if these are indeed the 2 of the sticks lions, you can hashtag SafariLive or tell us on the YouTube chat. Bizarre. I wonder if that's another male and he just hasn't got nearly any development, because they're big. They're not small. Look how big their heads are. They're enormous in comparison to the size of a lioness's head. I think that they are substantially bigger. And something like mange or any, I don't know if that is, maybe it's a female, but whoever it is, has got a big head. Yeah, shame, that's not nice. Ages, it's difficult to say. I mean, obviously you can see these cats, they're young. Those are not old. Those 2 are very, very young still. So maybe they've had an altercation. Maybe they have been fighting with one another. I didn't particularly hear anything. But young lions like that don't pose a threat to a pride like this. Again, if there were young cubs with the Nkuhumas, completely different story. They'd be way less tolerant. But because they don't have to worry about anything like that, you know, they'll probably growl and snarl, and they're just sort of watching them. So, I mean, fighting amongst prides is fairly common, but again, like I said, there's kind of no reason to engage in any battle. There's no food, there's no young cubs, so they'll probably just keep their distance, like what's happening right now, is they've got one another's backs. These guys are all obviously got each other's backs. They're all fast asleep. They seem quite confident that nothing is going to happen to them, even if they're, you know, with intruders being around. Yep, Kendall in the wild, it is 100% possible. It just takes a lot of grooming, and they say that after bouts of rain, that can normally help get rid of sort of mange. Healthy diet, obviously the healthier you are, the fitter you are. Mange doesn't stand a chance against that, but if it's in a say a dry season and the quality of meat that they're getting from the animals is not particularly good, because the animals haven't really got good grass or much leaves that hold quite a bit of nutrients in them, so that of course will affect the predators that feed on those mammals. And we saw this last year with the white mussel disease. I mean, that was evident. So for those of you who don't know what white mussel disease is, we had a very sad scene last year where we lost 2 of the Nkuhuma youngsters. And basically what had happened was it's a deficiency in selenium, and as well as vitamin E and a couple of other sort of minor minerals. And that comes from poor grazing. And remember, we had the worst drought in 2015. This pushed on into 2016 and also the beginning of 2017. So 2.5 years of really, really bad sustenance for something like the buffalo. Yeah. That can definitely cause it, and then it weakens the animals. Okay. So Michael Fleetwood, who I was telling you about now, is fantastic. He always helps us with lions. He agrees with me and says the main pride is definitely in Nkuhumas, but he's not sure who these 2 are. They could have come from the Manuleti. They could be 2 youngsters that have been ousted from their pride and now they're trying to make it on their own. It's very difficult to kind of say what's actually gone on, but he doesn't immediately recognize those 2 lions. I haven't seen the Styx Pride properly for quite some time, but when I did see them, I think they were on Hoffman's when I did see them there, they had bellies full. They'd eaten the wildebeest the night before, so they were quite fat, and they were just laying flat on the ground. So we did actually just see the young male. I just don't have a picture of him because I've cleared my memory card, otherwise I could have put the two together. I'm just going to quickly call this in. Tristan is giving a very long update. Tristan's so good on the radio. He's so tolerant. When people ask for an update and it's the 7th time I must give an update, I don't. Let me... stations, when you can copy me, I'm on lock with Lions. Here, almost in Mvubu Road Junction with Gallagher Shortcut. One on lock. Oh no, I don't think anyone heard my update. Stations on lock with a group of lions just in not in Yala Road, sorry, Mvubu Road with Gallagher Shortcut. Okay, so they're up and looking around. They look exhausted, so perhaps they've been walking all night long. Steve? No, perhaps you are one of our newer viewers. So the policy here is that we don't intervene with nature unless it's caused because of human interference. So mange occurs naturally out in the wild. It's just something that, you know, sort of picks up. They live up and they can live on the soil. They're pushing one another over. Look how bad that mange is over there. So no, we won't intervene. The only time we do step in and intervene is when... for example, something like a poacher has come through and left snares, and a snare gets on an animal, so it's a wire trap, and it basically forms like a noose around their neck or around their paws. We're very fortunate that there are not many gin traps seen in the Sabi Sand, but I'm sure that they use them on the borders of Kruger, you know, up and towards Mozambique, maybe Botswana and stuff like that. But you don't really hear many animals getting stuck in those. You know, those are the traps that they, like those big teeth almost, the big bear traps. But yeah, like I said, like we don't see that. Normally it's just snares and things like that. So if they can find the animal, dart it and remove it, they normally make a full recovery. Sadly, sometimes you see elephants that have lost their trunks because of snares. It's quite common to see here in this area. And then, of course, if it's an animal that's been shot at and it's still around and it's alive, 100% we'll get the vets in and try our absolute best to help them. And then, yeah, if a disease outbreak is brought in, say, by a domestic dog or a cow or something like that, then they'll definitely step in and try and prevent the disease spreading further, or whatever it may be. So it kind of just depends. But if it's something that occurs naturally, it's survival of the fittest, and that's the most important thing that we need to remember, is we as humans want to intervene all the time, and sometimes it actually makes the problem worse. Its thing, and remember, these animals are living in a massive open ecosystem. It's 8.5 million hectares that acres, 8.5 million acres that these animals have got to roam around. So there's absolutely no need for us to intervene. If there's no food, they can go and find more food. If there's no water, they can walk and find more water. So that's something we must remember. Okay. Chris Rogue, thank you so much, and also again Michael. Now I've never seen the Mangeni boys before, but that's apparently who these two are. I've never seen any of those lions. So how cool is that? After 2 years, I've now got the opportunity to meet some new lions. And then Michael commented and said that they were seen together with the Nkuhumas a little while ago. I don't remember that interaction, but I could have been in the Mara. Okay, very interesting stuff. Again, they don't pose a threat, so they are both male, and it just goes to show you how the mange has actually affected the growth of their mane. But we'll chat a little bit more about that as we're going to sit with these lions, because I'm quite interested to see what happens here. Tristan, however, seems to be racing around, chasing after all sorts of things.
Well, we're trying to, we're not having very much success, not like Taylor's mission. She was very successful in finding what she needed to find, and so, you know, we're still looking, and hopefully we'll be able to pick up things soon. But it's interesting to see these kind of dynamics. It's very strange, but I'm pretty sure that those young males just pose no threat in the condition that they're in, and that's so by the Nkuhumas. but it's always sad though when you see young lions that are, one, away from a pride, and two, they struggling with a skin condition like mange. But you never know, a bit of a good meal, some rain, and they can bounce back from it. Sticks obviously were never in great condition with mangers, or they were really bad, and they've somewhat recovered. I mean, they're not hugely kind of, well, they're not wholly recovered, should we say. They're not like the Nkuhumas, but they have recovered. And so it just needs a few meals and some good grooming and a bit of rain, and hopefully that mange will kind of get rid of it. It's also such a difficult thing to treat that, you know, it would require a lot of work to get those lions if you had to do the treating, and that's why it's not done. Okay, now this is where the dogs ran, so that's unfortunately not good news. The dogs' tracks are here, which means that they've gone southwards and probably out, and the guys are telling me that they actually have dog tracks on Cheetah Plains, so I'm pretty sure, well, close to Chitwa Cheetah Plains, which would be, I think, this particular pack. Now, sorry Nix, if you can just repeat the name. I've got the question, but if you can just repeat the name for me. Fern. So will the mange prevent their manes from growing? Yes, somewhat, because they're itching. They're going to be scratching a lot, which means they're going to be pulling hair out constantly, and so I would imagine that yes, you would see the manes stop growing because of that reason. Well, not stop growing, but they just wouldn't be as fluffy and as full as they could potentially be, because they'll keep kind of scratching their manes out and losing fur that way. But unfortunately our dog mission is being put to an end. Where those tracks are sort of leadwoods areas means that they pretty much must be out of the property. Good. Let's send you back across to Taylor and those lions and see what's going to unfold as the morning carries on.
She's very unhappy. Just going to sit quietly as we watch everything. She's going towards him. They're not reacting to her at all. They're not showing any signs of aggression. They're just sort of laying there. She's trying to get a reaction out of them. And these youngsters are not really playing ball, which I think is the best move. Let's see, the pride's coming over. Now, there's my favourite lioness. That's floppy ear over there, I'm pretty sure. She's got darker sort of amber-coloured eyes. And then I think the rest of the pride is kind of just intrigued, but she looks like she's going to stand down now, this lioness. You can see the way she's already half turned her left shoulder towards them. She's not facing them front on anymore. There's no growling. So I don't think she's going to go for them. You can see, look at that. They're young. They don't want any problems. They don't want to fight. That is the last thing they want to do. They're not in exactly the best condition. Although, even though they've got mange, remember, it's just a skin condition. It can be life-threatening when it turns into sarcoptic mange, which looks like it might be going that way. But there we go. Going back to the rest of the pride now. Let's see. Oh, yes. That branch is a bit flimsy, girl. And here we go. For those of you that didn't know how strong lions were, she did that quite easily. Yeah, she's scent marking now also. Oh, she's urinating. Diane, I'm sure it happens fairly often, probably more often than we even know, where lions leave their pride and then maybe come back and are not really welcomed anymore. With lionesses, it's probably a little bit more rare, as they form a really strong bond. Look what's going to happen now. She's going to go and she's going to greet everybody. And she'll do this with most of the lions, and they'll all be quite happy to have her back. And where we find that she has a favourite, you know, that she... Oh, there's another lion calling. those are the evoker males. Roaring like that. Ooh. Now there's going to be problems because look immediately how those two have reacted to the sounds of big male lions roaring in the distance. Didn't mind that a lioness was only a few feet away from them, growling and snarling. Didn't even flinch an ear. But they know what those roaring calls mean from the distance, and the Nkuhuma Pride don't seem to be particularly fond of the evokers just yet. Now, Nikki says she thinks she's spotted amber eyes. Is it maybe the lioness all the way to the far right at the back? The left of the one yawning. Is that her there? Okay, so she's the one sitting up and sort of looking. That's cool. I haven't actually had a look, so that's quite nice. Ooh, so very interesting stuff. There's obviously been a lot of roars going on all night long. We know that a lion roar it's audible to the human ear for about 8 kilometers or so. We can hear it exceptionally far away. Can you imagine what those sounds must have sounded like to the evokers? Now, I don't know what they're saying to one another, but they can obviously understand. And I think that those evokers are coming closer, but we'll keep listening out for the roars. Hatath, yes, I suppose it is possible that the mange, which is a contagious skin condition, could be spread onto the Nkuhumas. However, it doesn't look like they've had any interaction just yet. So unless they're constantly rubbing up against one another, and I suppose, you know, there's actual physical contact, and not just once, I don't think it will spread that easily. It needs to be a consistent amount of contact. So them just meeting up with the Nkuhumas and maybe having a squabble and, you know, maybe having a bit of a fight, that's not going to pass it on, I don't think. I highly doubt that. But yes, they do need to be careful. That's, of course, how mange was spread to the Styx Pride, if I'm not mistaken, was through Tinyo, who's one of the Birmingham boys. So he was part of a very powerful coalition that used to live up here, but they have since moved back south. And he actually passed it on to the Styx Pride. And he's still got it on you'll see it on his belly. I'm not that I've seen them for quite some time, but it's okay. It's just one of those things. And then we saw it spread right through the entire Styx Pride. And sadly, in 2016, there were I think, were there 8 young cubs that unfortunately didn't make it, that ended up dying. But this last litter seemed to be doing all right. And they're all back down again. Isn't, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw the Talamati male. He's here. Hey, did you also see him? I'm pretty sure there he is there. He's still with the Pride. He just hasn't gone anywhere. You know what, this could work out to be really well. I mean, VM and I were just chatting. And just imagine if these other 2 young boys from the Mangan Pride decide to join up. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe it was their time to sort of move on now. And they're wanting to start a coalition of their own. They're young, they're very inexperienced, very fine. They're also still looking for that companionship because they've lived with a Pride their entire life. So it must be a little bit lonely for them and a bit difficult to sort of slowly change into more of a, you know, more of a solitary role, because they do take on that for a couple of years before they're able to take over entire Prides for themselves. So maybe they're lingering in hope that those 2 boys will branch off with them. And the young Nkuhuma male is getting to that time now where he's just over 2, where he will indeed have to start looking for a home of his own, especially with the evoker males coming in. They're not really going to tolerate these youngsters for too much longer, maybe another 6 months, maybe to a year or so, that they could linger around, but eventually they are going to get chased off, and, well, they're going to have to run with their tail between their legs. The more of them that join up together, the better. The better chance they have of making it towards adulthood. The better chance they have of successfully bringing down prey, being particularly young and inexperienced hunters. And then, of course, they've got one another's backs when moving through or trying to tiptoe through other male lions' territories. You know, they should be able to fend for themselves, you know. 4 or 5 young males versus 1 or 2 older boys, they might be reluctant. And, you know, not that they'd be able to take over something like that at such a young age, but, you know, they definitely need to watch out, the older boys thing, because if you get into a fight, there'll be more of them. And they're not, well, the Mungane boys are a bit small. I don't know how old they are. It's very difficult to say with the lack of development of their mane, but they also look like they may be just 2 or so, but I could be mistaken. That mange could have hindered their development quite sufficiently. I've never seen them before. I think they come from a little bit further south from where we are. I don't actually know where that pride normally hangs around. Yep, this 100%. She's just asserting her dominance over those 2 youngsters, but she didn't really get a reaction from them, which is probably the best response that those 2 youngsters could have done, is kind of just ignored her. They didn't roll over, they didn't really make eye contact with her. It's like they were just pretending that there was nothing really growling at them. And should they have moved, or even, I think, rolled, I think she probably would have gone for them. But the fact that they just remained very still and kind of ignored the entire thing, that was the best. There are birds going ballistic around camp. I can just hear them. So I don't know if Hosanna, the young chief, is maybe walking around near Galago Pan or something. Sorry, I think I just seen something. Thought I saw something walking in the background, but it's not. I don't know if the evokers would come walking in. They'd probably come charging in. I haven't seen the evokers for a very long time. And to be fair, I've only seen them like 2 or 3 times. I don't know them particularly well. Wonderful. It seems as though Scott has got a bird in the Mara, one of your favorites. Let's go take a look.
Yes, we do have a bird, and it is a beauty because they're highly endangered. We don't see them too often, and it's busy having breakfast. And I love the way it's actually digging through a pile of elephant dung looking for insects. Oh no, interesting. That's a balanites fruit that I picked up there. Maybe it's, no, maybe it's getting confused. But watch closely. When it does get an insect, and not the fruit that it keeps picking up, I love the way they kind of maneuver it in their beak before gobbling it down. What are you doing? It keeps picking up the same thing. I'm not sure why. So this is another one of the hornbills. I forgot, I think it was Liam who was asking me to find a red-billed hornbill. Well, at least we got a hornbill for you. Sorry, Daniel. I hope you're still watching, Daniel, because this is a very, very cool hornbill to see. Unlike the red-billed hornbill that you asked me to find you, these guys spend all of their time on the ground looking for food. Actually, red-billed hornbills do the same thing, but they're more prone to flying from A to B, whereas these guys often walk around looking for food. They're also much bigger than the red-billed hornbills. This is kind of the size of a turkey, I would say, which is a bird that you may be able to relate to. The wind really is picking up again. Chris, yes, well noted. They usually do live in small family flocks. Why this one is a loner, I'm not too sure. It looks to me like it could be a male. The females, if I'm not getting confused, often have a kind of bluish patch between that big red bulge below its beak and the kind of next reddish bulge below its eye. So maybe it's just a male who's hasn't managed to find any girlfriends yet. really having a feast here, thanks to the elephants dropping, and it's kind of breaking up with its beak and then looking for little insects. They eat just about anything though: frogs, snakes, lizards, small rodents. What has it seen? Octo Girly, you would like to know how big are red-billed hornbills? Well, they're the smallest of the hornbills that we see. If I stand, yeah, I think that's right. Smaller than yellow-billed, smaller than the southern grey hornbills. To give you an idea of size, I would say they are 2 tennis balls for their body and a ping pong ball for their head. That's the best way I can think of describing their size for you. And relative to this ground hornbill, I mean, yeah, they'll be up to, when they're standing on their tippy toes, they'll kind of be up to the base of its kind of belly. The length of its, maybe the height of its legs, so considerably smaller. How cool is it, the way it's kind of arcing its head from side to side, looking for snacks? A few of you are mentioning that it looks like it could be a dinosaur. I agree. A prehistoric looking bird. Pippin, you've just mentioned that they've got long eyelashes, don't they? Well, yes, they do. James, I don't know if we can punch zoom into its eyeball. That's the closest we can get you. Is that punch zoomed? James? James? There we go. So there we go, yes, they do have long eyelashes, as you can see. Beautiful long eyelashes. Alrighty, I've had enough of this bird. Sorry anyone who wanted to stay for longer, but I need to keep moving. I want to go and look for some lions. It is my last day in the Mara, so I'm going to try and make the most of it. And we had a wonderful sighting of it. I was running out of things to say. Alrighty, speaking of me looking for lions, it's seriously interesting what's going on down with Taylor in South Africa with the Nkuhumas and those 2 poor mangy critters. And I'm sure a lot of you are wondering what the latest is over there.
Not much. Nkuhumas are laying up, just resting. I think they've been busy all night long. They were in the Manuleti last night, so they've been doing a fair amount of walking. And who knows what else has happened in the darkness while we haven't been with them. But there they all are. Eventually they'll move to some shady parts. I just don't know where they're going to go. Max, no, I don't think so. I think this is their home turf. This is where they live, so I don't think they'll necessarily be running off unless the evokers come charging in, and they probably don't want to have anything to do with them. I reckon if all of them just stood up to the evokers, they could teach them a very valuable lesson on manners. And sometimes that happens. You'll see entire prides of lions and lionesses all turning on the males and having a go at them. We've actually seen it a couple of times with the Birminghams. Every time there had been a squabble between, normally it was between Tinyo and Mfumo, 2 of the Birmingham males, the lionesses would get involved and they'd just start attacking them both while they were having a fight with one another, which was always made me chuckle a little bit, the way that they took advantage of that situation. So yeah, but again, these animals don't want to encounter any conflict. They don't want to have fights with one another, because if they do this, they run the risk of injuring themselves and potentially ending up being a life-threatening injury, and then that might be the end of you. So they will avoid it. All animals will avoid fighting at all costs, which is often why you'll see animals having dominance displays, or it's why male lions before they meet will be roaring at one another for, you know, hours before eventually, you know, one of them not backing down, and then they'll meet, and then there might be a bit of a squabble. No, gremlins. Remember, lions and leopards are enemies. They are competing for the same food source, so they do not respect one another. Lions will kill leopards at every opportunity. I'm pretty sure if a leopard came across a lion den site and there was no mom around, it would take out the cubs, just like lions would do to a leopard cub. So there is no mutual respect whatsoever. Lions are consistently stealing kills from leopards, even when they put them up in trees or if they're down on the ground. So yeah, like I said, there's absolutely no a mutual relationship whatsoever. They don't like one another, and that's of course because they compete for the same type of food source, and leopards will do everything they can to avoid lions. They don't want to come across them. Lions are bigger, they're more powerful, they're also more social, so typically there's more than one of them. Leopards, on the other hand, other than the bizarre things we've been seeing here in Djuma, are typically on their own. So, yeah. And these guys are really not particularly interested. They're just fast asleep. Right, Tristan doesn't seem to be having much luck just yet this morning, but he is patient, and normally the patience pays off.
Well, let's hope so, Taylor. We'll be as patient as we need to be today, and hopefully we will get a reward at some point. So we came back to the tracks for this female leopard, which I surmise is Tandi. It could, I suppose, be Kuchava down in the bottom corner of Djuma, but it came from the north. She came down, and she's walked around here, and then she's come back this way, and then turned, by the looks of things, south towards this little drainage line of Mamba. So just checking this Mamba loop at the moment, and just trying to see if she came out here, but I don't find any sign of her coming out, which is interesting because it means that then she must still be in the block. Now, I walked around there and had a little look, and I couldn't find any sign on any of the big termite mounds that were in the area, so I wonder where she's gone. Lots of tracks for hyena here as well. I wonder. Maybe she went towards Tingana's kill, because that is a dead straight line from where we were just now. And so I think maybe that's not a bad place to go and quickly have a little look. Maybe she went there, found food, and has decided to go and fetch Klalamba, because the tracks go down and then come back again. So I wonder if that's not the case. No, there's nothing to worry about there. It smells like leopard, doesn't it, Craig? Craig says yes, it does smell like leopard. But I don't see any leopard tracks, Craig. Where are you? She's here somewhere. I'm sure of it. We just got to try and find her. I'm going to go check Tingana's carcass in case she's gone there. Wouldn't be a surprise if she has. And so while I do that, let's send you back to Scotty, who's wading his way through the masses that is the migration.
Thank you, he who smells leopards. We are certainly kind of getting into the thick of things, and beautiful, beautiful scenes here. As a few little sprinklings of zebra are enjoying snacking on the red oat grass. What's interesting for me, I mean, last year I was kind of surprised at the lack of kind of change that I personally noticed in the amounts of vegetation after the migration came. Whereas this year it seems like they're definitely eating more and doing a better job of mowing the lawn. But maybe it's just because I wasn't paying enough attention to the before and after, whereas maybe this year I was. But definitely noticing them doing some serious damage, not damage in a good way, to the length of the grass. I'd also like to show you there's another very, very densely packed herd that's massive off to our kind of 1 o'clock. That's quite an impressive scene. Just to give you an idea of how many there are. I mean, there's that little bunch over there, And then look at that black carpet. You can already see a thick mass, kind of starting spreading out in a bit of a line, and then as James pans across to the right, you'll see it just gets wider and wider, this carpet of wildebeest. Many of them. And here we're probably about 15 miles from the Tanzanian border. Keep going there, James. We haven't reached the big portion that I want everyone to see yet, I don't think. There it starts getting a bit beefier. So yeah, there's still a long way north. I didn't quite catch your name. It could be Fancy or Nancy, Clancy. Bunsey. Hi Bunsey. Haven't heard your name before, so you could be new to the SafariLive family. Good to have you with us. You would like to know if wildebeest are part of the cow family. No, I don't think so. I think buffalo are, but not wildebeest. But I stand to be corrected. My knowledge is actually pretty shaky. Funny things like that. But I don't think so. I think buffalo could well be, and you get many different types of kind of buffalo, not just the Cape buffalo that you get here in Africa or South Africa or the South and Eastern Africa, but you also get forest buffalo here, and then water buffalo in India, and a whole bunch of other buffalo I'm not too sure that exist where, you know, exactly elsewhere on the planet, but those I think are related to cows, but these guys I do not think so. Maybe distant relatives. Okie dokie. Well, I'm hoping that as we skirt along the base of the escarpment, being able to look down onto these plains, we're going to be able to snipe a long distance visual of the Owino Pride, which were directly to our left yesterday. I'm not too sure where they ended up, but that is what we are trying to work out. And while we do that, we're going to send you back down to Taylor.
Well, welcome back to the sleepy manner of all cats who are not doing particularly much. Luckily that one sat up and put its head up because it's been very, very quiet. There's been no more roars from the north and everybody is fast asleep at the moment. And so far, the Nguhumas are still all out in the sun, although it's not warm this morning. It's pretty cool. So I think they might be enjoying the morning light that's just sort of hitting their bodies now. But it's inevitable that they'll move to the shade. It does look like they've eaten something at some point. Now I know the evokers had been on a kill yesterday. Perhaps they stole a kill from this lot. Maybe they got a few mouthfuls in, but then unfortunately were chased off. It wouldn't surprise me if that in fact happened. But the fact that it's getting so late in the day, I don't know if the evokers will be moving around too much. I'm sure that they also would have been quite busy. Perhaps they will also lay down. But it doesn't sound like there's many people driving around today. I think everybody's going back to the city. So there might not be any cars from the north, from Buffelshoek. Mrs. Lapwing and Kermie, unfortunately, this is a virtually impossible question to answer until we actually watch it happen. I don't know what will happen. I don't know if the lionesses will allow those two males to follow them. They're quite happy with them by the looks of it to let them sleep, you know, a couple of feet away from them without even constantly watching them. So yes, I think as long as they keep their distance, they might allow them to follow. I don't know if they'll let them eat on the same kill. These questions I cannot answer, because remember, it's nature, it's wild, there's no rules. People have given them guidelines in the past, but as we're learning every single day, it's only a matter of time before those animals do something that a person has said they don't do. So I don't think it's fair to put these animals in a box and say they do this, they don't do that, because they're animals and they'll do whatever they need to do in order to survive. And I think that's also something very important that we need to remember. So just because it hasn't happened with one specific pride of lions, it doesn't mean that the same rules apply to another group of lions. And remember, their behavior is also area specific. So you'll find the lions in Botswana might behave differently to the lions up here in the low veld of South Africa. The lions on the east coast of South Africa might react differently to the lions in the Mara. So it kind of all just depends. So something like that, we can speculate as much as we like. We don't really know what's going to happen until it happens. But the fact that they have been seen with this pride before, there's obviously been some interaction, and the Nkuhumas seem to be fairly tolerant of this lot. I mean, again, then they've had fights with the Torchwood pride. So I think it just depends on what mood you catch them on, or what's sort of been happening, what the dynamics are. And at the moment, they're changing up because there aren't really any big males around. I mean, like I said, the evokers just pop on in, but they haven't really been accepted by anybody in the Sabi Sand. Not just yet. And we still don't know if it was Amber Eyes mating with one of the males. Okay. Riandi, you said apparently the Nkuma Pride did allow the two young Mangan boys join on a kill. So that's quite interesting. So there we go. They're fairly tolerant cats. Again, I think it just depends on the situation. If it's a small animal, if they've killed a Inyala, they probably do not want anyone else to come and feed on it, because that's barely enough for a mouthful of the Nkuhuma Pride. So to have two more mouths to feed, I don't think they'll be happy with that. But perhaps if it's something as big as a buffalo or maybe a big kudu, then yes. Then that, of course, could be slightly a different situation. But like I said, every situation is different. It will never be the same. It's quite crazy that there's actually a fair amount of mange in the lions around in the Sabi Sand. Look at that. Looks like the hair is starting to come through in some places, though. Oh, the young lionesses are up again. I'm going to flop down in the middle where it's comfy to lay on top of all other lions. I don't know what they've heard. Just checking behind me. Could have picked up a scent of something. I don't see anything. I think just as they wake up, regardless, they kind of just look around just to make sure that those two haven't crept closer. Now they're looking for a bit more shade, or at least she is. She's just looking for a shady spot to lay down, where she's not going to have to move every 2 minutes. Wonderful. Now, as soon as though it is Scott's last drive, he's managed to find one of the prides of lions that have grown quite close to his heart.
A bit. Snap some pics in the meantime, and then we'll go back. No, yeah, fire away while we're nice and close, and then I'll reverse to get better radio comms.
Sorry about that. It seems as though Scott doesn't have any communication at the moment. There we go. We're probably going to move off from the sighting now, because they're really just laying flat. They're just going to find a bit more shade. I don't think there's going to be much movement around here. We'll go and see if we can't find some other things. I might go along to the northern boundary just to see if the evokers aren't maybe coming this way. Let's do a bit more listening. This is epic. Wonderful. Or maybe Hosanna will pop up. Anyways, Tristan is still on the go. I'm not sure where he's bumbling about now, but let's go see where he is.
Well, I've bumbled towards Tingana's carcass, and there is still a tiny, tiny portion of it hanging up in a tree on top there. And you can just see a little bit of the warthog there. There's a head, and that looks about it, really. And no sign of Tingana absolutely anywhere. We've checked Treehouse Dam. We've looked around here. I can't see where his tracks go. So I don't know if he's just lying in a thicket somewhere close by, and I just can't see him. But it doesn't look like he's here anymore, and neither is Tundi or any of the others. And so that's not what I was hoping for at all. But it seems as though there must be... I mean, he must be around. I'm surprised that he has gone far. So what I want to do is just quickly check something. Now, I'm getting called on the radio by Aubrey. Go ahead, Aubrey. So he's just asking me about the leopard tracks. Orbs, no, not at the moment. I left those tracks. They were kind of heading towards where Tingana had his kill, but there's no sign of them here or Tingana either. So, unfortunately, it looks like our leopard has not moved off, which is interesting, because I didn't find his tracks kind of leaving this area, which I thought I would have. Nothing down there, Craig? So, no sign of him in this area. Interesting. I wonder where he's decided to go. He might have decided that he's had enough of this carcass and he's going to just leave that head dangling up there, which will torment hyenas, or he's decided he's going to go and try and find a different place to go and drink. Be surprised though, because he's been using Treehouse Dam fairly kind of regularly, and so it doesn't really seem feasible for him to go to a new water point. Maybe he went towards Twin Dams. I suppose could be, and I know that there was a leopard sawing last night on the dam cam, so maybe he decided he's had enough. He's going to go and do some territorial patrol rather, and go and see what's going on. But like I say, we should have picked up tracks leaving this area and moving from this section going wherever he was going to go, and we didn't really, so careful there, Craig. I want to just see. There is one hyena that is lying here, so let's have a look at that while we're here, because that will be at least something to do. Let's go through this section. Now, I've got to just be careful, because there's a sharp, spiny tree that's going to whip back at me. There we go, through. Right, there we go. There's our hyena that's lying nicely out in the open. That's where we want it to go. Hello. You're looking very non-enthused at all by our presence or the fact that we've arrived. This poor hyena is going to be just staring up at a warthog head for the majority of its day, because it doesn't seem like there's any sign of anybody else at this stage, and so unfortunately I don't think you're going to get much out of it. Tingana not being around means that that carcass won't be dropped onto the ground, and therefore these guys will just have to watch it dangle up there for quite some time. Now, talking about these guys, it might be actually a good idea just to quickly pop past the den. It's not far from here, and just go and have a little look to see if Corky's there with the little one. That's actually not a bad idea, given that our leopards are not playing the game. We'll go for the other spotted animals for now, and then maybe we'll pick up some sort of audio of alarm calls or something like that that will allow us to maybe find where the Duke has gone and where Tundi has gone, because the two of them are being a little bit more elusive. Right. Good. We'll head off towards the den. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Scott Dyson, who has, well, like Taylor, been successful and found what he was looking for at the start of the morning.
Well, who knows, Tristan, maybe on your way to the den you'll find Tundi and Tlilumba waltzing down the road. We got lucky. We found the Owino Pride having breakfast. And They've managed to catch themselves what looks like an adult wildebeest. I think these are two youngsters that are busy feeding. There's a mama bear in the background just lazing in the shade. What a bonus. And I'm not too sure what they were feeding on yesterday afternoon when David relocated on all 5 of them. But they definitely are in a good spot at the moment because there is a lot of wildebeest and zebra for them to snack on. So I'm hoping they get to cash in for a few more weeks, because ordinarily their territory is a vast wasteland of just grass and nothing to eat. And I'm hoping that if the youngsters gain some size and strength by getting this kind of surplus of food, they'll be able to do a better job at standing up against hyenas, because that is one thing that this very small pride, the smallest pride in the Mara Triangle, well, it's just 2 adult lionesses with the 3 youngsters. I guess the Morogoro pride of 3 lionesses is smaller in theory, but more powerful in the fact that they've got 3 adults as opposed to 2. The others are lying kind of to the left of where we're looking. We can't see them now in a shady spot. So I think all 5 are here. Nikki says that that's butternut in the back, which is the bigger of the 2 mothers, and who's got a more orangey tinge. So I haven't seen Lychee or the other daughter. I think it's the young boy. Yeah, it is the young boy and one of the girls feeding. One of the young sisters feeding. I'm not too sure whether it's Regina or Lychee. I mean papaya, not lychee. I'm getting confused with all the names now. Minamu, you would like to know what is the first part of a carcass that the lions go for and why? They usually start kind of at the rear end, or kind of the soft part of the belly between the back legs. So that area kind of is usually the spot. And the soft belly, the soft kind of belly right at the back, between the back legs, is where the softest skin is. And then that opens up onto the legs, which is the biggest chunks of meat on most animals, including us. That's where our biggest muscles are. So yeah, I guess that's the easiest, most lucrative part of the kind of kill to start feeding on. But once they've kind of ripped open the stomach, at the base behind the back legs, then they can often pull out the entrails and then eat some of the intestines and organs, or rather the organs first. They're very soft, high in nutrients, no bones, so you can understand why they enjoy those kind of soft organs like the liver and the lungs and the heart. Easy to eat through. I'm so happy we found them. Very, very fitting way to spend my last morning with the lions that I've probably spent the most time with. Oh, we need to rush you off to a bird with a frog.
Indeed, we've got a lilac-breasted roller that has somehow managed to find a frog in the dryness that is this wintry landscape at the moment. So where it got it from, I'm not quite sure, and what species of frog it is, I'm also not sure. It looks almost bushveld rain froggy. It's kind of got a fat belly. Or is that? No. I hope we're not going to see a bird pass out and choke and die. But no, it's getting it down eventually. That is ridiculous, the size of that meal. Oopsie. I feel like it's gotten stuck. This is not ideal. You are a glutton, little roller. It's a bit awkward now. There's legs and feet just sticking out of its beak, and I don't think it really knows what to do. It's kind of got stuck halfway going down. It did a good job at first to try and get half of it down, but now it's kind of just sitting there and looks very awkward. It's a bit of a macabre picture as well. Come on, push it down. No, 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 you are in trouble now. This way is going to be better. The sun is in his eyes, that's why I can't swallow. So he has to try and kind of get the sun out of the eyes. Let's try again. No, still not happening. That is, one leg just doesn't want to go down. At least the bird is still alive. I imagine if it just dropped off the branch, that would be a bit, like I say, a bit awkward. It wouldn't be ideal to have a bird just drop off the branch from being kind of suffocated from a frog down its throat. But let's see if it can actually get it down. It's pretty amazing, though, that these birds feed off such large prey items. And they really are incredible hunters. Starlight, I feel like we're going to find out. Can it cough it out? Probably not. But I think it's going to just force it down. There we go. No, no, still one leg is still causing havoc here. It will eventually get down. It seems to be okay, though. It doesn't seem to be too perturbed. It's not in a panic, and it's not fluttering its wings or anything like that. This is the calm demeanor of a bird that's probably tried this before, and it's going to eventually get it down, I'm pretty sure. Wait, there we go. No, no. Just that one leg just doesn't want to go. You're going to have to do some maneuvering, little bird. Maybe if it used the branch and pulled the leg straighter, it would go down. So Octogirly, you say I need to do the Heimlich maneuver and try and help this poor bird out. I don't think it would let me get anywhere near it, but I'm certainly going to try and watch and see how this goes. The muscles in its neck and its throat must be seriously strong. Can you imagine having that? Can't be comfortable. Surely not. The bird doesn't seem worried, though. It's not really exactly going crazy and really trying to swallow. It's every now and then it just does a little bit, but it's not really too kind of perturbed by it. But this is ridiculous. Roller, why would you try and put that... I believe there's lots of jokes about frogs, and I believe some of you are saying that you hope it does not croak it. Well, yes, let's hope it doesn't croak. That would be a travesty of a lilac-breasted roller just fell off the branch. A frog in your throat, exactly. Yes, that's another good one. Come on, did it go down? No, no, it didn't go down. There's still that leg sticking out. Elizabeth, I honestly have no idea how long it would take. I would imagine a while. It's a massive meal. I mean, it's almost half the size of that bird. So I would imagine that it would take a fairly long period. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. It would be an interesting study as to how long it takes for a frog to digest in a roller's tummy, especially a frog of that size. They, obviously got a bone structure on them. It'd be very interesting to me to know how long it does. But the thing is with things like rollers, and that are predatory birds, is that they obviously have a seriously strong stomach because they feed a lot on beetles and all kinds of hard exoskeleton arthropods, and that means that they've got to be able to break that stuff down. And so I suppose a frog will be broken down, but this will be a serious meal and probably will last quite long. I would imagine that it wouldn't need to feed too much more during the course of today, maybe by this evening, but otherwise I think it's going to be a fairly full, fat, happy bird for most of the day. Certainly going to weigh a lot more than it did prior to this meal. Imagine now it's got to pass it on the other side. That's going to be tricky. And you've got a whole frog skeleton that you've got to try and get rid of. I wonder if it's as bad going out as it is going in at the moment, because that's going to be then very uncomfortable for this poor roller if it is that way. It just can't get that one leg that's sticking out to the kind of left of its face. Everything else is down and in. It's just one leg that just won't go. It's almost like it's got kind of lock syndrome where the frog obviously died and now it's not pliable enough to actually get the leg to turn in its beak and get it down. There we go. We're going to try one more time. No, still. I feel like it's gone down a bit more. Its beak's closing a little bit further, isn't it? Or am I just making it up? Come on, roller. Now, I honestly don't know how long this is going to take. Normally a roller just kind of hoovers its meal down and then off it goes, but this guy is clearly struggling with what's going on, and And I'm quite glad that it's at least sitting in a nice place and taking it easy. We'll stay with it and see what happens. But in the meantime, while it struggles... Wait, did it go down? No, you still have one leg sticking out of your face, Roller. No. All right, well, we'll wait a little bit and see how it goes, and we'll try and wait it out. In the meantime, though, let's send you back across to Scotty D and the Win Your Pride in the Mara.
Shame. That lilac-breasted roller sounds like it's in a bit of a predicament, as is the young boy from this pride. He has been properly mauled. Holy smokes. Look at that chunk missing out of his leg there. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, these animals are so tough, so I really don't think it's going to cause any issues to him, major issues, other than a lot of pain and discomforts, because there's a considerable chunk of meat missing there. And you can just see how much fur is missing, how much he's been attacked on his tail. Shame. Sorry, buddy. At least you got a full belly. But shoof. Whoever got hold of him did a good job at causing some damage, but thankfully nothing too serious. And I wonder how and what the rest of the pride did, and I just hate not knowing what's happened in situations like this. It really bothers me, because it would have been epic to just witness the whole fight going down, and like I said, have a better understanding of, were the rest of the pride here? What did they do? How did he escape? Oh, this one's onto the stomach content. That's the bag of rumen. Surely you can find something tastier to eat, but maybe it's the minerals that they're after. You see how she kind of was trying to suck that chunk of meat between her teeth to try and get rid of as much of the rumen as possible. Jackie, you wondering if this was definitely lion or possibly another animal? I would say 99% likelihood that it was other lions, and the only other animal that would be able to maybe cause such damage to lions are hyena. And maybe, a big clan did get a hold of him when the rest of the pride weren't nearby. But ordinarily, a lion will be able to just run away from hyena, and hyena aren't going to pursue a young male like this and try and cause too much damage to him once he's given up his kill. They're just going to fight with him until the point that the lions give way, as we've seen before. So yeah, I'm almost certain it was other lions, possibly, who knows, that young brute that the mom in the background there was seen next to. Maybe she tried to divert them, divert him and his other coalition partner. It's just two new kind of young males that have come into the area, one of which has also been on the receiving end of a fight from probably bigger males, and seems to have fairly recently lost half of his tail. So I guess it's just the way of the wild out here. It's tough business being a male lion. There's lots of competition, and obviously the big males take advantage of the younger males as and when they get the opportunity to. I can't believe how much fur's missing from that kind of area on his leg, in and around that wound. That could maybe be from him licking it and trying to lick the wounds, and has licked the hair off. Jeez, but he is properly dinged up. Timothy, you would like to know why is Butternut not eating? Well, she's probably had her fair share of food. There's so much food around at the moment that, yesterday afternoon they were seen on a kill. Even when we saw her yesterday morning, she was well fed. So, yeah, I guess the same reason why the other two members of this pride are also not eating. Young males will ordinarily be the ones to eat the most, and that's clearly evident here. He's the last one at the carcass, and that is often the case, I've noticed, with my time spent with various prides. Also the mothers, you know, again, it depends because we weren't here to see what happened as they took the kill down, but the mothers are the biggest and the strongest, so they, in theory, are the ones that are going to have the best seats at the dining table, with access to, you know, the easiest portions of the kill, simply because they outpower their youngsters. But sometimes, you know, especially now with this, when there's so much food around, you might find the mothers make the kill and then just go and lie down and watch the youngsters eat, because it's an abnormal situation at the moment, having so much food around. Lulu, you wondering what a lion will do to prevent infection on a big wound like that? They're just so resilient that I don't think they have to do too much, other than probably lick it clean. That they will lick it a lot. That's the only thing they can really do. They'll use their tail to try and keep flies off it. But yeah, it's just their own immune system, which is very strong, will kind of do a lot of the work without the lion having to consciously do too much, other than the kind of basic grooming that they do daily anyway. Let's actually, speaking of grooming, let's take a close look at Butternut's neck there. Oh, she's still got all those ticks. What's going on, honey? You need to sort yourself out. I was thinking yesterday that possibly she had an extra amount of ticks on her because she hadn't spent too much time with her pride, but that's not to say that she hadn't been with them. I was just assuming that she hadn't, and therefore that the other pride members weren't helping groom, which they do. As you can see, they're very loving. It would be wonderful now if this young daughter decided to pluck those ticks from her neck. Linda Gale, yes, most certainly. The more food the lions have, the faster they will recover from any wounds. That is for certain. Oh, that's actually Lychee that went and said hello to Butternut. So that's the other mother. I assumed that it was the daughter that was on the carcass that went to say hello, but these two ladies are the bosses of this pride. I'm hoping if they walk next to one another now, we'll be able to show you the differences between them. No, don't do that. You can maybe see that Lychee is a paler shade. It's just difficult because she's in the shade at the moment, so it's hard to compare her coloration to Butternut, who's now in the sunlight. But Butternut is taller and has a bigger build than Lychee, as well as a darker, more orange coat, as opposed to Lychee's paler coat, which interestingly has kind of come through to her son, who's also fairly pale, as well as the kind of daughter that she did have until about 6 months old. She was very, very pale, easily distinguishable from her other 3 siblings. Okay, well, we're going to say goodbye to the Owino pride and go and head off in search of the Sausage Tree pride, because I don't think too much else is going to happen here, and I really would like to try my luck and gamble finding the little cubs for you before the end of the safari. So it's time to say goodbye to them, and you'll be interested to know that that lilac-breasted roller is still struggling to get that frog down its throat.
Yes, it is, and now it has just regurgitated it. There we go. So there's the answer to where that can be coughed out, and we're going to try again now. Oh, no, you've dropped it. Oh, no, you silly bird. Okay, let's see now if it flies down and grabs it. This has been a very bad morning for this lilac-breasted roller. It's been half choked to death by a frog. It's now dropped its meal. Wouldn't it be bad if something else came and grabbed it? But let's see. I'm sure it's going to come down and get it. Surely? Or has it decided that frog is not going down and therefore is going to be regurgitated and thrown on the floor? Your beak is also dirty, Mr. Roller. Or Miss Roller. Difficult to say whether that's male or female, but come on, let's see. surprised a hornbill hasn't gotten involved here. They generally chase birds off food and can actually get the kind of meal. Now it's looking down. No, there comes another roller. Look, there's another roller on the ground that's coming in to thieve the frog. So there it is, just behind there. You thieving? Are you the partner, maybe? Let's see now if this one is going to scavenge the frog from the other one. Looks like it's eyeing it out, doesn't it? It looks as though it knows something is here. No. No, yes, there we go. It's now found the frog. Where are you going? No, hang on. We need to find you because I need... Oh, now it's being chased by a hornbill. There we go. I told you the hornbills will get involved at some point. There we go. Look, it's coming back and the hornbills are chasing it. That's amazing. All right, let's try and catch up with that one. I want to see if it can swallow it. Where did it go, though? Are you all right, Mr. Roller? Are you just suffering? Okay, you're okay. You'll be fine. Now, where did the other roller go? Did you see, Craig? It looked like it went this side somewhere. No, man. No. The hornbills have obviously been the ones that have disturbed this whole thing now, because we would have been able to see if this roller had more luck than the other one in getting it down. But now I've lost them. They flew in this direction. I thought they landed in this tree, but they didn't. No, there's no roller here. Where did they go? Oh no, now I wanted to see if the frog actually eventually got eaten by the roller or if the hornbills ended up getting it. Either way, it looks as though they've disappeared now. I can't see them on any of these trees. Maybe this big tree ahead here, Craig. Let's go check there quickly. No. Nope, I don't know where they went. There's the hornbills in front. I found the hornbills. Okay, wait, let's hang on. Let's quickly get in front here and see if we can find them. This poor roller has been chased by hornbills down the road. Can you believe it? It's the first time I think I've ever had chased after a roller and its hornbills kind of pests. What's this up in the top of the tree here? No, that's a go-away bird. There's a starling. There's a drongo. Nope, I've lost them now. Where did the hornbills go? They were also here. I've gone mad. I'm chasing birds around. Yes, no, there was definitely a hornbill. Craig, did you see the hornbill? Tell everybody I'm not mad, Craig. Craig is now selling me down the river and says that I am. Right, well, we'll leave it there. That was epic, though. That was a very, 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 very cool sighting. Not every day that you're going to get all of that. Anyway, while I try and figure out what I'm going to get up to next and what's going to top that for the morning, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's also bumbling.
Alright, very interesting stuff, Tristan. Of course, that's what you've been up to all morning long. I really like those kinds of sightings. So, anyways, we've moved off from the lions because they're just sleeping, doing absolutely nothing. And we came past Buffalo's Dam, and then we picked up male leopard tracks, but they don't look like big leopard feet. They actually look like young male leopards. So I'm wondering if Hosana didn't come venturing on this way. He was coming back towards Djuma last night, but maybe with the commotion of the lions hanging around in his usual spot, it's encouraged him to go on a bit of an adventure. So we had them on Hippo Pools Road, and now and then lost them. I'm just quickly checking Quarry Pan Road to see if he didn't come down here, because he is quite fond of Nyala Road north and south and these drainage lines that run in between these roads. So he could just be somewhere around here. But I haven't heard anything alarming, and now I haven't picked up any more tracks, which kind of makes me think if we don't pick up anything on Nyala Road north when we get to it, that he's probably gone east. So we'll have to go back up to the boundary and just check the fire break. The tracks did look nice and fresh from early this morning. So I don't know. The footprints looked a little bit too small to be Tingana's footprints. Right, so we're going to carry on just having a little look around here, and hopefully we can find another cat. Off to Scott, who's sitting with a pride of his own.
Yes, we decided not to leave. Let's have a quick look here, James. This girl's coming so close to us. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, stop your nonsense. Otherwise I'm going to have to give you a fright. She might just want to lie in the shade from the vehicle, which is, I'm thinking, what's the case, but I'm just going to keep a close eye on her. Young lion can sometimes be inquisitive, and who knows why she decided to come and say good morning to us, but that was absolutely awesome. So as I was saying, we repositioned just to try and get you some closer views of everything. There you can see the other side of the poor boy looking a lot better than his left side. But I'd urge you guys to take notes of what the wound looked like today. Also keep track of the dates and and then be able to kind of monitor how quickly he recovers, because I'm sure a lot of you will be astounded at how quickly he recovers from such a large gaping wound. There is a chance that the Mara Triangle will call a vet in to aid him in his recovery. So you might notice there's some kind of spray paint where they'll kind of spray on some kind of what's the word? Why can't I think of the word? Anyway, my brain is jammed, but something that's going to help him recover. They won't need to stitch him up or anything, but they may just assist with some kind of topical medication. Interestingly, the pride are moving off now, and that could be due to the fact that these Cape buffalo are approaching. Also, they've eaten their full. They could probably snack on it a bit more, but there's no major need because they know it's not going to be difficult to get another meal. Hello Daniel, I'm glad you're still on board with us. You would like to know how many lions will be killed every year by hyena. Daniel, it's a very tricky question to answer because it'll all depend on the certain area that you're in. Here in the Mara, there's very big clans of hyena, so it's more likely that they will kill lions mainly when they're cubs than down on Djuma, simply because there's more of them. But even a hyena down on Djuma will kill lion cubs if they find them without the mothers around. However, if the mothers are around in Djuma, hyena usually don't cause any trouble with the lions. Their clans aren't big enough. They won't be able to chase them away from their kills. They won't be able to cause too much trouble for lions. But here we've seen this pride being chased off kills by very big clans of hyena before. Doesn't necessarily mean they get killed by them, but it gives you an idea that it just depends on where you are, and it'll change every year. And the most important thing that I maybe should have started by saying is that so much happens out here when we're not out. Most of the action happens after dark, when we are sleeping. So it's hard to be certain, you know, like with Kenya, the female cheetah, nobody knows what killed her 5 cubs. It could have been lion, it could have been leopard, it could have been hyena, it could have even been buffalo. Even eagles have been known to catch baby cheetah when their mothers aren't around. So much happens that we simply don't have the answers to. Okay guys, well that was great. Now that the Owino pride are moving off, I think so will we. And like I said a bit earlier, I'm desperate to try my luck in finding you guys the 2 sausage tree pride cubs before I head off. How much time have we got? Ooh, 1 hour and 10 minutes left. So there's still time. It'll only take us about 20 minutes to get into the area where we can expect to find the sausage tree pride. The cubs were last seen stashed up somewhere on this mountain, but further to the south of where we are now. So that is where we're going to be going. We're going to be going to the south, and hopefully in the next 20 minutes or so we'll have some good news for you guys. Okay, we can send you back to Tristan, who is still bumbling about.
I am indeed. I'm still trying to see if we can find anything to make sure that this leopard did not cross south. So we're going to go back to those tracks and try and find out where she went and do it a little more kind of thorough than what we did. I just had gone towards Tingana's kill, but given that there's no there, Tandy does best to follow the wild dogs, and I wonder if she didn't pilfer another kill in this area. It sounds like there's a few hyenas that have been lurking about as well, and so I wonder, maybe, just maybe, she doesn't have a kill somewhere here, and these hyenas are also onto the kind of wild dog trade. So I'm going to look around this area. We'll check Lakewood properly now, and then we'll go around back towards Mamba, and hopefully something will.
Glad you've come back to us, everyone. I'm sorry that you had to be rushed away from Tristan. As we were driving off, I noticed a few vultures. Now I'm going to try and take a chance and get us into a position where we might get lucky and see the lions chasing the vultures, which means I need to get onto the other side of the one Ripples griffon vulture which has come down and landed. Obviously a few floated in that I couldn't see because we weren't facing the right way. Here come the Cape buffalo as well, and they know full well that there are lions here. I can see by the way they're holding up their head and the fact that the wind is blowing straight towards them. I'm just hoping we're still going to have comms here, so Nix, if you can just keep speaking permanently so I can keep track of that. Oh, it's a bit shaky, but it's okay. I think Brian or Ryan is asking how long will a kill last a pride of this size. It'll last them quite a while. You know, they're all going to be full bellied. This is going to be, I think, quite a cool angle. I don't think I can push it too much more. But you can see the vulture over there, the lions over there. The comms are great, Nicola, thankfully. So, in the event that the lions do decide to chase this vulture, we're going to get a great view. It's really interesting. The lions are like, no, we've had enough to eat. They moved off, and then as soon as the vulture landed, they came back, and they're like, no, maybe we should eat some more. Sorry, Brian, I didn't really get to do a good job with your answer there, so let me reattempt that. Once lions are full-bellied, which a pride of 5 lions will all be full-bellied from an adult wildebeest kill like this, they can easily go for 3 to 5 days before their next meal. However, at the moment, there is a surplus of food around, and if James just zooms out a little bit and we look in the background, you'll get a good idea of what I mean. Look at all those wildebeest. Plenty of food. So, who knows, maybe wherever they go and sleep today, another herd will come running into them and they'll snatch one, and then they'll start feeding again. So they kind of feed a lot more than they ordinarily would at this time of the year, simply because there's just such good opportunities around. And all of the big cats are the same. With a full belly, 3 to 5 days is easily manageable without another meal. But that's not to say they won't cash in as and when they can. Zephy, yes, I am definitely going to miss these views. It's an incredible place to be able to call your office. And I've spent about a year here in total now, so it's a serious privilege to be able to have spent day in and day out over here. But who knows where I may end up. We may get better view. I may have better views wherever I end up in the future. Let's take a look around. Speaking of the views, we'll take you on a little tour of the surroundings. It really is magical, and this is one of my favorite places in the Mara. Oh, sorry, losing focus. The vultures, quickly, James, onto the kill. There's a whole bunch of vultures just off to the right that have just... Oh, here comes another one on the ground. Let's stay on that one. No, it's decided it's not a good idea. So they've all just... 4 vultures very quickly went and landed at the kill. But then as soon as that lioness turned around, they took off. But it's going to get to a point where the lion keeps going away. And let's watch all these vultures dropping, and it's incredible how quickly the word spreads, and I love watching them float on in. So as I say, the line of lions going to come backwards and forwards, and eventually the vultures are going to start feasting, and hopefully we'll get an epic shot of the lions coming, running back and chasing them off. It just might take a little bit of patience. There'll be a bit of toing and froing until we get the perfect moments. Okay, let's go on to the... Yeah, this is going to be good. Awesome. There's one vulture you can see on the ground here, kind of just like hiding at a safe-ish distance. But as I say, there's going to be lots of toing and froing here. I wonder which lion it is that's doing the main patrolling. Looks like one of the young girls. I'm not sure if it's Regina or Papaya. She's decided to plonk herself down on the kill now. I'm not too sure where the rest of the pride are. We can't see them from where we are here. I think they're just kind of over the ridge. Oh, things are heating up here. Let's take a quick look at some other visitors that are about to stumble onto the scene. The buffalo are approaching, and now I'm almost wishing I was on the other side of the lion so that we get to see the buffalo chasing the lion as opposed to the lion chasing the vultures. But I think we're just going to stay put for now, considering it's quite a rocky area and also that the signal is very shaky. So I think we just bank this spot. So I'll keep an eye on the buffalo, and you guys keep an eye on the lions and the vultures, and we'll be sure to let you know as the buffalo do get closer. I've just spotted one of the other Pride members quite far down at kind of 1 o'clock there, James, heading down for a drink and a little puddle, as well as... Okay, no, sorry, James, I'm throwing you all over the show, but you can see that little puddle there. That's where one of the lionesses is heading. But the lioness that was on the carcasses moved off, so we can expect to see all the vultures come in, and hopefully we'll get to see her chase them one more time. I'm sure the vultures are going to swoop down any second now. Come on, quickly, vultures. Otherwise, I think this lioness is going to go too far to warrant running back up the hill to chase them off. Okay, here come the vultures, and they are going to descend like seagulls to a hot chip. I'll keep an eye on the lioness. James, go on to the lioness. Okay. Hopefully we're going to get an epic shot here. I love it when this happens. Wunderbar. Now, the buffalo can definitely just give up on... Let the vultures have some breakfast too. She's not giving up. There's obviously a vulture that landed not too far from her on the ground. She's watching them fly over her. She is not enjoying these vultures. What's interesting is that the buffalo can definitely, I'm sure, see that young lioness now, especially the lead buffalo, who's looking intently at her. But I don't think we're going to get to see any major action from these buffalo, provided that they haven't already decided to do something already. They're just coming in to kind of get a better idea of where the smell of lion was coming from. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, ooh, yeah, this is, I can just hear the buffalo going brrr, brrr, and he's kind of starting to pace towards her. But she's not going to take any chances, and I think, yeah, she is slinking off. Chris, no, I have never seen a lion kill a vulture before. I'm sure it has happened from time to time. I've seen a jackal actually, or photos of a jackal killing a vulture at a kill, which was quite an epic. Here comes the lioness from the left again, James. Which was quite an epic scene, because a jackal's almost the same size as a vulture. Yeah, I guess it must happen from time to time. A vulture that doesn't get its timing right could get swatted by a lion, but it's not something that I've seen happen. We can see the rest of the pride now way down in the distance, or at least two members of the rest of the pride having a drink. But it's just so difficult. In scenes like this, it's so difficult to know where to put the camera. I think James has chosen the right spot now and not listened to my cue. Because there's so much going on that we want to show you, but obviously it's not always that easy and can sometimes be a little bit chaotic. The cameraman trying to keep up with whatever we are going on about. There we go. Alright guys, but this time I am I gonna go, or do we stay and watch the vultures squabble over the kill? Maybe we stay and watch the vultures squabble over the kill, because that's always entertaining, and who knows what might happen. I just really was hoping that we would be able to get a chance of finding you those sausage tree cubs. It would have been the ultimate ending to what has been an incredible 3 years with SafariLive. But this is equally as awesome, and here comes this poor lioness again. She just can't accept the fact that these vultures are going to have the final feast here. This is a great example of how different animals, just like us as humans, have got different personalities. Her sister's here, she's not doing anything. Her brother's here, he's not doing anything. I'm guessing it's the two mothers that we spied on drinking down at the base of the hill. Interesting. Now she's, I think, possibly going to try and drag it under a tree. No, to hide it away from the vultures, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. She's just going to force herself one or two more mouthfuls. Very good. We're not going anywhere, but you're going to jump on board with Taylor to see what's going on down there.
Right, sadly I don't have vultures interacting with lions. However, we're still trying to follow up on these male leopard tracks. Now, I got out the car and I was walking a little bit. It's bizarre. I go around the road and there was a hippo that defecated and marked his territory up against a small shrub, probably Scuba Steve. And then there's a leopard that did exactly the same thing over the top of the hippo's footprints. So we know that, I suppose it could have happened from late last night to early this morning, but the tracks still look really fresh. But there hasn't been much of a wind this morning, so there's a possibility that it's just been preserved for a little bit longer. Anyways, now they turn and kind of face south. I cannot find one footprint after that. That is the end of that. What are those buffalo? no, shadows of trees that look like buffalo far away in the distance, but like on the other side down there. Look like I heard a buffalo coming in, but it is not. Okay, so I don't know where this cat kind of goes, because at Jungwari Pan Road, I mean, of course, there's always a possibility that we've missed tracks, especially when you're driving. It's very easy to miss tracks. But I've tried to be very careful. I didn't see any either. So if we don't find anything more, I think I'm going to just walk straight through that block. He must be in there somewhere. And I'm quite confident in walking because I don't think it is Tingana. The footprints look a little bit too small, and we know Tingana likes to run. I don't want to chase him. Hosana, however, doesn't seem to run. Teddy, no, I don't think the leopards went to the trees for the lions. Lions can climb trees too. A leopard is not necessarily safe up in a tree if there are lions down below. Like I said, we've seen them climb up many times. Although leopards obviously have the advantage because they're a lot more nimble up in trees and can maneuver much easier than a lion could ever dream of. But anyways, they've not just gone running up in the trees. We've been checking though, we have been having a look. But I don't think we're going to find any leopards terrified just sitting up top. I don't think that that's the case at all. Okay, we're going to go back to the last tracks now because here we can't see tracks at all. The ground is exceptionally hard. It's quite gravelly and compact. But there hasn't been any, and like I said, we're now northeast of that road where the tracks turned and looked like they went south. Oops, sorry. The other thing we can do is maybe go and drive down Drakensberg North. That might be an idea. I'm trying to quickly just check one last time around here before we move out of the area. It's just Scuba Steve's not back at the dam, by the way. He's moved off, but I think it's just a couple of impala that have come down to drink. But I just want to check around here, because if it is Hosana, he just kind of walks around in circles. He goes one way, then he goes another, and then he comes back again. And then something caught his attention because it smelt nice, or he heard a sound. He's all over the show. Oh, sorry, Franklin. Ah. I don't know what this impala ram is. Is he chasing the girls at the dam? That's rude. They're just trying to have a drink, man. Leave them alone. There's bossy pants impala ram, sorry. He got everybody riled up for a second for absolutely no reason. Look, he's gonna do it again. Just have a drink, buddy. You don't have to drink next to your favorite ewe. Everyone else is also just trying to have a drink, but they dare put their heads down, and then the bossy ram comes about. Very nervous around the water's edge today, but they do need to be careful, because if Hosana's here, you know he'll take advantage. What is that impala doing over there? Ah, apparently Hosana has actually just been found a little bit further south from where we are. Okay, so it probably was his tracks that we had. They must have gone all the way south. So we were going to check Drakensberg, which should have taken us towards sort of Mamba. So that's apparently where he is. I'm just going to find out here. Which station? Or Aubrey for Taylor. Look at Impala. She's obviously got stuck on the other side. Now she's trying to figure out, how do I get around? Oops, confirm you located Hosana. Perfect. Just west of Drakensberg. So that was our next bet. Copy. Can I come and join? Copy, thank you. Cool. Well, that's exciting. So that we would have eventually found our way down there. So Hosanna has done quite a big loop. We know he went into Buffelshoek yesterday. He came round, he had a drink at the dam. I wouldn't imagine that he would have gone past here without having a sip of water. Then he walked along Hippo Pools Road and went straight south. So he might have actually just crossed where Gwarry Pan is, but it's all dried up now, it's quite hard, and then walked down Drakensberg Road because he's not far. So we're going to pretty much head in that direction, I think. I think that is what we shall do. Whee! And we'll try to get into that sighting. But as you know, Scott is still sitting with the Ewinyos, with the vultures coming in hot, and there's also a buffalo herd on standby.
Yes, we sure are. As you can see, we've repositioned to get you a new perspective on the whole event that's unfolding here. And I can't wait to see what these buffalo do. They're slowly inching closer. Let's have a quick look here, James. This lioness is dragging the kill straight towards us, which will be epic to see. Oh. Where are you planning on taking this? This is Lychee, the paler of the two mothers. It seems like she may be thinking about dragging the kill under the car. And this young lioness is not helping the cause by jamming on the brakes there. Well, it seems like Lychee quite cleverly decided to create a little bit of distance between her and the slowly approaching buffalo. Clever mama. Now, James has mentioned that he's only counted 4 lions, which is actually a really good point. We haven't actually been able to confirm that all 5 are here. So there's another one. Just let's zoom into this youngster and try to work out which one she is, James, the one that's lying down. Oh, that surely that looks like Regina to me. But Nikki's better at IDing them than I am. So that is Regina. So maybe Papaya, Regina's sister, is missing. There's the other youngster. Let's have a look. I think it's another youngster just directly above them in the background. We can just see its head poking out there. Or at least one other. So we've got 3 out of 5 in view at the moment. I'm not too sure where the 4th one that we definitely know is here has gone. Sure. It's miles away. It's walking off over that puddle of water, James, just on the other side of the water. We can see one walking off there. So there's a 4th one. It's going to be near impossible to tell who it is from here. Oh, that lioness is trying to get into position to lay an ambush. Can you actually believe it? There's a herd of wildebeest heading towards her. Not directly towards her, but kind of close enough. I think a zebra has already spotted her, though. As James gets to them, you'll see that there's a couple of zebra in the foreground. Keep going, James. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. All the way past this tree with the vultures, yeah. So there you can see that line of wildebeest kind of heading in the general direction. But that zebra that's just changed direction, I think may have seen that lioness getting into position. But isn't it fascinating that with a full belly, there's still food on their current carcass. That lioness thought it was a good idea to try and at least position herself where maybe these wildebeest will walk into her. But we're going to stop that action because as I was looking in the wrong spot, there's all the vultures that have come. So we'll leave that, and the vultures are swooping down upon us. I was so focused looking down at my monitor as to what James was filming that I didn't notice this chaos unfolding right next to us. How epic! And they're fighting over all the stomach content here. Surprisingly, not a squawk has been let out. Silently feasting. And the vultures are dropping in. I can count about 15 or 20 in the sky above us. Let's try and get some shots of them flying in here with the wind blowing directly towards them. Oh! Awesome. I love watching them get their landing gear out, but that one's a bit far off. I think it decided last minute to change plans. Whew, what a morning. Absolutely awesome. Hello Roman, you would like to know, is the Mara Triangle best for game viewing? It is really good for game viewing. The best in terms of the Mara ecosystem, or the best in terms of Africa, I'm not too sure what you're exactly wanting to know, but it is definitely one of the best places in Africa to view wildlife. Especially during the migration months, because there's just an absurd and abnormal amount of action that unfolds due to all of the food that's around. So for me, yes, it's definitely one of the best places to view wildlife, but there's so many epic places, and it depends what you're wanting to see. You know, if you come here, don't expect to see leopards like you see in the Sabi Sands. So if you want to see leopards, don't come here. Even though you have a chance of seeing them, your odds are much better in a place like the Sabi Sands. What an incredible morning. I am keeping an eye out on that lioness that was trying to get herself into position for that herd that was heading towards her. So I'm just keeping tabs of her, but we'll keep an eye on the vultures for now. Roman, you would like to know if I've ever seen any any lions with mange since I've been in the Mara? No. Oh, sorry, Sarah. No, Sarah, I haven't. Seems like all the lions here are very healthy. So, yeah, thankfully no mangy lions that I've seen. It may go through phases though, and stages. Not to say it doesn't happen, but not that I've seen. Now I think this lioness is trying to... Let's try and have an update of... Actually no, she's just disappeared behind a tree, but I am keeping an eye on her. I think she could be trying to get into another spot where these wildebeest could walk into, so we could actually have a hunt a little bit later, which is really exciting. Some other exciting news, I think, is that Taylor may have just found Hosanna.
No, not yet. We're still quite a fair way out from Hosanna. I'm not sure really what he's up to either. I was live when they gave that update and had my radio turned down. So we'll see what he's up to when we get there. But like I said, we're still quite a distance out. We're just taking it easy. We also saw some buffalo along the way, so they were just in the thicket, just out of sight. But they're just off Drakensberg North, which is very exciting. They were all starting to rest up, hiding away from the sun. So that's good prospects for this afternoon. Hopefully they just go to Buffelshoek Dam to drink, and then the Nkuhuma Pride gets up and moves east. That would be ideal. Whether they will or not, I don't think they're going to be going north because the evokers are there. I think they're going to move as far away from the north and the western, well, like northwestern corner of Juma as possible. I think they probably come up this way to try and evade them, because they're not too fond of the evokers just yet. They've still got to work a bit harder. Puma, it was pretty difficult. There were either 10 or, I don't know, I think they were all there. I just couldn't see. They were flat in the grass, and you could see they were behind all sticks. So what you saw was basically what we saw. I think I counted, it was either 11 or 12, but Amber Eyes was back, so I'm going to go ahead and say that all the Nkumas are back together. I'm pretty sure. They could have just very easily just been hiding behind. Another one. VM said he spotted another slender mongoose. Again, as I turn around and look at camera, they seem to do that to me all the time. We've seen 2 this morning now. Well, I've only seen 1, VM, but I obviously trust VM, so we'll go with 2 on the slender mongoose count. We're just incorporating that into every single drive. We unfortunately won't be able to see them all, but they're everywhere at the moment. It's epic. I mean, they're here all year round. It's not like they migrate anywhere. There's just a whole lot less vegetation at this time of the year. Right, Tristan is back, so I'm probably not going to go to Hosanna. I'm going to give him that sighting. I'll tell him now. Let's go back to him and see how he fought the gremlins away.
No, Taylor, you head there because you're much closer than I am. It'll take me as much time as we have left in the drive to actually get back to that area, so Taylor needs to head in that direction. It was very close to where we were. We saw a giraffe on the way. We had to quickly run back to camp because we had a few issues with our car, as I'm sure you've all noticed. There's been a bit of breakup during the course of the morning. And so as we were driving back on Mumba, we saw a giraffe staring into this place, and I quickly called Aubrey and told him to head there, and that's how they found Hosanna. So we were in the right area, and I actually think that Tundi's somewhere there too. I wouldn't be surprised. Or a female leopard, could be Kuchava as well. But Taylor should head there for sure, because I'm way too far away to be able to get there, and I've got some wildebeest up in front that I'm going to have a look at, and also going to head towards the hyena den. Yes, I know Corky was at the carcass, but Craig told me that while we were watching our roller choke on his frog, there was the hyena came past us towards the den, so I want to go and just quickly have a little look and see. I didn't even notice her. It shows you how vigilant I am. I was too enthralled by the lilac-breasted roller that could not swallow a frog. Anyway, we at least have a wildebeest herd. I was funny enough talking about these guys yesterday. I was saying that I wonder where they are at the moment because I hadn't seen any sign of them. And, well, they are here, back going towards quarantine. This is an area that they spend most of their time. They... obviously go on to quarantine quite a lot and end up finding quite a bit of food in that area. So, that's kind of where they spend a lot of time. It's safer for them as well. But it was nice to see them. It's nice to see that so many of the young ones from last year survived. So Footloose and company did very well this year. In fact, this wildebeest herd has had 2 really good years. And it's probably because the lions have not really spent as much time as they did around 2016. And so it's allowed the herd to grow quite nicely. And it's starting to develop into a nice big grouping, and it's always a welcome sight when we get to see these guys. I am surprised though that we didn't lose more of them. I thought we would have at some point, either a leopard or dogs or lions would have gotten hold of some of those baby wildebeest, but they seem as though they all managed somehow to kind of get through it. I don't think, did we lose any? I'm not sure if we did. I don't think we did. They seem like most of the young ones are still with us, and it's amazing that we actually saw 2 of them being born. It is a good-sized herd. It is a really decent-sized herd, especially for the Sabi Sands. We don't generally see big groupings of wildebeest. In fact, this must be one of the bigger herds that I've actually seen in the sands in the time that I've spent here. White lady, yes, Footloose, exactly. Footloose is around. What was the one that Scott saw? What did we name that one? Sputnik, I think it was. Was that what it was called, Nikki? Yeah, maybe Scott can confirm, but it was Footloose definitely was the one that I saw. But amazing that, like I say, 2 of them, we actually watched them take their very first steps, and now look at them. They're these big, bulky, grazing animals, which is very, very cool. Now, this is all females and young ones that we're seeing kind of at the moment. And then right down at the back left is where the actual male is, which is quite common to see. The males generally sort of stick off the ends. They don't actually go all the way towards the females. Oh, there's also a warthog. Hello, warthog. The warthog is just on our left-hand side, is just walking off slowly. being very nonchalant as it kind of goes away. I was trying to sneak away, but we saw you, and you're going to go glide off into the grass and disappear as warthogs do. I do think we hold the record, Nikki, for that sighting, for the longest action broadcast or unscheduled broadcast or whatever you want to call it. And longest epic broadcast I think we've had. It was very cool, actually. There was another one that was very long. Who had another long one? Somebody else had a long one. Somebody else has had a really long one in the Mara, I think. But yeah, we had, I think ours went close to 3 hours that day. I remember drive was a 6-hour drive. It was very cool though. Yes, you guys even brought me breakfast. That was delightful. Thank you very much. And luckily, the little one, Footloose, decided to world before I needed to get to breakfast. So we managed to wrap things up before that was the case. So anyway, it was a very cool sighting. That I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm actually looking forward to the next lot. There should be a few coming soon. It's November, December. Well, December really for the wildebeest. So hopefully we'll get another couple live births this year again. Right, now while I just meander up the hill and round the corner to the den, let's send you across to Scotty D, who I think is still with the Winyo Pride, and it looks like a beautiful sighting that he's having.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry, I forgot that James wasn't sharing any of Nikki's comms there, so I didn't warn him that they were coming to us. I just assumed she could hear them. That's why he was panning around. What is going on here? Here come the buffalo. They've decided to come running past. And I think when they started coming running past, I think the lions all scattered. Because I looked back to where the lions were, which were just in front of us. You may have seen them scatter while I was looking at you. But it seems like these buffalo have just decided to move on, get out of this area. And that could have given the lions a little bit of a fright. Phew. I'm glad you guys brought up the story of Tristan's epic never-ending scheduled broadcast with unscheduled broadcast with that wildebeest birth. It was quite epic. Our timing to deliver his breakfast wasn't that good though, because as we arrived to deliver him breakfast, the wildebeest had already given birth, so he just came back to camp and ate it there anyway. But I remember Louise put on quite a fancy spread, quite a platter. So the kill has been dragged under this rock, and 3 of the 4 awinos that we, I think, have deduced are present. I wonder where the third sibling, the second sister, is. A little bit worrying that she's not around. However, the fact that I'm told David saw all of them yesterday together means hopefully they're not too far. And maybe they made another kill last night that she kind of stayed on. Well guys, I couldn't have wished or scripted or hoped for a more exciting morning to have spent with you on my last drive for the near future. Who knows, I may be back taking you guys on live safaris at some point in the future, but for now it's the end of the road. And thank you so much to all of you that have sent through very kind messages and best wishes for whatever I end up doing in the future. I'm quite excited. I'm not too sure what to do, and that's a big reason why I'm leaving, just to take some time off and try and kind of maybe work out where I want to be in 5 years' time, as opposed to just going with the flow daily, which has been treating me well for the last 10 years, but I'm getting to the age now where I think I need to start acting a little bit more responsibly and thinking a little bit further down the line, you know, buying a house, this, that, the next thing, because I have been avoiding those kind of more important things that somebody of my age should be doing. Let's have a look here. There's a leopard-faced vulture that landed on a rock behind us, and this lion has decided to come and possibly chase them off. Ryan, you'd like to know what I will miss the most? Whew. There's so many things, Ryan. I mean, we've got an epic crew that we work with. Lots of very interesting people. that all love wildlife and conservation and filming, and we do have so much fun behind the scenes that you guys don't get to see too much of, or any of really. So yeah, being out in these beautiful places with a great bunch of people has been very, very special. Of course, the opportunity to be able to have so many of you on the back of the vehicle with me at any given point in time is something that I will only ever be able to achieve and experience and have the thrill and the rush of experiencing with SafariLive. There's nobody else that will be able to provide me with the tools and the awesome equipment to be able to do that. So, you know, having 6 guests on the back of my vehicle, if I do any private guiding going forward, is going to be a very different experience to having all of you guys on board. One thing that I also am hugely grateful for and have tried to make the most of is our ability to and access to being able to be the only people out in this incredible wilderness at night. And a lot of you would have been able to see the epic stuff that has happened after dark out here. And again, the fact that we are the only people out here in this incredible playground with some pretty epic tools with the infrared cameras and the thermal imaging equipment, it really does allow us to be able to unobtrusively document some ridiculous sightings that unfold under the cover of darkness. So that's something that I really am going to miss. And again, it doesn't matter if I come back here with guests in the future, I'm not going to be able to be allowed out, and even if I was allowed out, I wouldn't have all the fancy equipment to be able to go about doing what we do in such an ethical way without having to shine spotlights and kind of light up the scene to see what's going on. So that I am going to miss dearly. Sure, what else? What else is there? I mean, there's a long list of things, but those are a few things that come to mind. Roshni, you're putting me on the spot here, and it's not fair. But I'll do it for you, only because you're such a loyal viewer. It's Kekenya! It's difficult to do it when she's not there, and I'm not actually that excited to see her because she's not here. But I gave it a decent crack there, Roshni. I hope that was up to standard. You can possibly compare that to sometimes when I have actually done that live. I'm very happy a lot of you are having a good giggle about that. I've just remembered about the lioness that had got herself down into a spot where hopefully the wildebeest might walk into, and I've just spotted her again. James, you can see a big patch of green grass there, kind of where she was headed towards. If you just zoom into that, a little bit more to the right. There we go. If you just zoom into there, you'll see it right there. If you just zoom straight in. Oh, she's just lay down. But, oh, there she's moving. She's slinking through the grass there. Let's look a little bit to the right and see if there are any wildebeest close to her. She is getting fairly close. I think I need to descend from our beautiful elevated spot where we've had the most incredible scenes. And while I descend to try and get us into position to see what this lioness does, which I'm going to need to do quickly, we're going to send you back to Taylor and the 2 mangy lions.
We have got our 2 mangy lions who are sitting right in the sun, but I think that they'll probably move fairly soon. Yes, it's getting hot now. It is getting very hot. They've got very piercing eyes, but I think that might just be because of the contrasting color of their skin. And obviously we can see their skin now because all that mange is eaten away at the hair, or eaten at the follicle, and then the hair has died. Sorry guys, that must be so itchy. It must be so unpleasant. And then with all the flies and everything, but he doesn't have it too badly just yet. but it might spread. Maybe he'll keep it under control. But you can see all around the face, because that's the point of contact when they're greeting one another. They'll always rub heads, so it's usually where it spreads first. He's just going to come lay right here by the car. So you can see very relaxed, definitely Sabi sand lions. Not a bother in the world about the car, and also kind of far away from home, I would imagine. And they're still quite happy to come and rest up right by us. So I don't think we'll see much more action. You can't really see the Nkuhumas from where we are, so we won't bother about them for now. They've just moved further into this block, and I think they'll just continue doing that throughout the day. As long as they keep finding shade that satisfies them, and they don't get too hot, they'll probably be here this afternoon. And like I said, hopefully everything goes according to plan, and they slowly start moving towards the east to where the decent-sized herd of buffalo is just sitting and doing exactly the same thing as these lions, trying to keep out of the sun. And there's this one not ready to move out just yet. I don't know how much good the sun does for mange. Now, for those of you that missed what happened this morning, there wasn't really much that exactly happened. We just came across two different groups of lions. Obviously, the two we're looking at, and the Nkuhumas, which you can't see because they're in the shade at the moment. There was at one point a lioness got up, she snarled a little bit, but there was no response from these two young boys. And then she went and lay down again. And that's pretty much the extent of the interaction that's gone on this morning. These are two boys from the Mangeni Pride. I don't know them particularly well, but I think they hang around a little bit south and to the west of us. And why they've split off, whether they were chased away by maybe the Birminghams, I don't know who or why or what's gone on, but they've left their pride and come up to the north and are wanting to spend a bit of time with the Nkuhumas, who are not super tolerant of them, but they're also not saying no. So that's basically what has happened. And then they've got mange, as you can see. That's why you can see this. They've got black patches all over their bodies. So there we go, just a quick recap from what happened this morning. But it does look like they've been in a couple of scraps and fights, so perhaps they're just finding life a bit difficult, as do most young males at this kind of age, where you're trying to find your footing and, you know, you're very uncertain as to where you kind of fit in to the environment, I suppose. Not big enough to take on a pride, but also too old to stay with their natal pride. No, Sarah, I don't think the lions would have been kicked out of their pride for mange. That sounds like something only humans would do, would completely ostracize, you know, a person because of the way that they look. I don't necessarily think that that's what's happened. This is very typical. Once male lions reach between 2 and 3 years old, give or take, obviously there's quite a few things that can impact this and determine when they leave, they move off and they go on their own. So this is completely normal behavior. And they were going to get kicked out of their pride, regardless of whether they had mange or not. Now, you can't really see mange normally. It's kind of, well, the actual, I suppose it's a parasite. It's you need to, I suppose, look under a microscope to actually be able to see it. It's very, 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 very small. But it's also itchy. They'll just scratch themselves all day long. But maybe the sun does help. It's kind of like, I suppose, with lice. And can't you get rid of lice by using heat? Maybe the sun does exactly the same thing to the tiny little mange mites that are living on them. Look at those fluffy ears. Twitching them now. The flies must be bothering them. Right, Tristan is on the birds this morning. He's had hornbills already. I wonder if the one he's got is chasing a roller.
No, we are not seeing hornbills chasing rollers, but they were displaying to one another. So there were two yellow-billed hornbills here together. I know we're looking for red-bills, but we had two yellow-bills, and they had their wings up doing their characteristic kind of talk that they do when they're in the company of one another. And so it would have been nice to have seen them carrying on and keep going with it. But anyway, one is now flown off. The other one is actually still behind us, sitting a little bit kind of behind where Craig is, it'll be difficult for Craig. Oh, there we go. Yeah, well done, Craig. So there's an itchy face. Got to sort that out. So nice little view actually of a hornbill. You know, obviously they can be quite flighty sometimes, but this particular fella or lady is actually being quite obliging and sitting on a really nice stump to be able to see it. So very, very cool. Yes, clean your beak. You obviously have been feeding. You have far better table manners than our roller that we saw this morning. That was a little glutton. He tried to eat the frog. Now the other one is calling. I wonder if this one's going to fly away. There we go. So there goes the other one to go and join. Let's see if they'll do their display. You can hear them talking to each other. I hope you can hear them talking to each other. No, they've just stopped now. They haven't decided to display. I was hoping that when the one landed that the other one would lift its wings and then they start really kind of going. Maybe. I suppose it is that time of the year when it will be courtship for a lot of these birds. The vultures and the eagles would have started to breed already, but the smaller birds, their incubation period and there we go. Awesome. That's very cool. So that's exactly what we wanted, was to see those guys doing that. Very, very cool. Thank you, you two. I thought that we weren't going to see it, but in the end it all happened, and like I say, it is that time of the year where the incubation process should be taking place. Now, Nikki, I need to tell you that I have very little comms with you. It's very soft. For some reason, all of a sudden my radio has decided to be soft. My game drive radio is perfectly fine, but not my normal radio. So I can hardly hear you. You sound like a whisper in the wind at the moment. So I'm going to try to turn it up a little bit and see what I get. But so now Scott Dyson must be in his absolute element right now, because not only is it one of his last drives, but he's found something that he absolutely loves to look at.
I certainly am in my element. Things could not be any better. Look at how awesome this view is of a monstrous herd of zebra and wildebeest making their way straight towards us. How cool is that? It's often difficult to photograph and or film the migrating herds and show you the real extent of them, but you can see how there's a slight little slope here which allows us to see the kind of depth of how many there are. So this is the perfect spot to be viewing them. As you can see, we've made it down into the kind of lower lying area that lioness was making her way towards. I think that she is somewhere hidden in the grass, kind of in that direction, just over there. Sadly for her, the long grass that she was using as cover, there's a kind of small gap in it. It's going to make it difficult for her to get close. Is that her? Oh, there she is there. Keep zooming in, James. Well done. There you can just see her ears. If you just go left a little bit, she's directly in the center of the frame now. Having a snooze. Waiting for the wildebeest to get closer to her. I think that's her. Or am I dreaming? Nikki says she thinks I'm seeing things. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. Are we sure? Zoom in one more time, please. That is a lioness, everybody. She's just having a snooze, waiting for the wildebeest to get closer. You see, the tricky thing is that I'm lower down than James. So from where I'm sitting, I'm going to sit up a little bit and use my binoculars. But I'm pretty convinced, everyone, that is a lioness. Let me get my bearings. Maybe not. I was convinced that was her. Everybody's laughing. The power of the mind. When you want something to be what you're looking for, it's ridiculous what you can actually come up with. Sorry about that false alarm, but she's somewhere in that direction. So we're just going to stay put here, and I think her plans are to do the same thing in the hope that the wildebeest kind of veer off and change their trajectory slightly and kind of walk into her. The wind is howling down here. We were quite protected where we were up against the escarpment. You can hear it, I'm told. Let's take a quick drive and see if we can't work out where exactly this lioness is. Wonderful to hear a new name. I'm not sure, Lachlan, if you're a first-time viewer or you've just been silent up until now. We do have quite a few viewers that are very loyal but don't send through questions, which is fine. You'd like to know if there's any lions that cross between the Serengeti in Tanzania and the Mara in Kenya. Yes, lions, leopards, rhinos, wildebeest and zebra. Everything does. So that is certainly something that does happen. Cheetah, I don't know if I mentioned cheetah. So yeah, there's a lot of crisscrossing. Of all of the species. There's no fences anywhere actually, not even on the northern end of the kind of portion of the Mara in Kenya. So the animals have got free rein. Naturally, a lot of the animals know that it's best not to venture too far north or west because they come across people there, which they tend to avoid, most species. Some animals like elephants, not so much. They can be a little bit naughty and their bellies carry them into people's farmlands, which creates problems. So I'm interested to see what happens in the next 15 to 20 years. There's quite a few reserves in Kenya that aren't fenced, but there's just more and more people getting born every day, which means I think at some point in time some fences, possibly porous fences, will need to get put up, but I probably shouldn't start talking about this because it is a bit of a contentious debate with regards to what people should do. Well, we've got another new name, Jota. I didn't quite get your first name, but I got you. You're also known as Jota. And you'd like to know, can a lioness Tamsin? There we go. You'd like to know if lioness can hunt alone. Yes, they can and often do. I feel that us humanoids give far too much credit to lions for their apparent teamwork, because very often you see one lioness doing the bulk of the work while the rest are snoozing. So yeah, they can and will. So we last saw her heading into these kind of tufts of longer greener grass, and I'm guessing she could just be lying here waiting, which is very clever for her to just put herself in a position where she can snooze, and in the event that a wildebeest runs over her, she can just snatch it quite easily. So somewhere in here is where I think she is hiding out. So it's going to be a little bit tricky to pinpoint where she is in this long grass, but we'll keep scratching around here to try and get an idea of where she may be, and then we can position ourselves accordingly. As she positions herself for an ambush, so will we. Very good. We'll call you back as soon as we get lucky, but for the meantime we're going to send you back to Taylor.
Oh, goodness, Scotty D, your final moments. Well, again, it's getting close now. So I would like all of you to please blast the interweb with some of your favorite moments over the last few years, of Scott in particular. Hashtag SafariLive, let us know. Or of course you can also do it on the YouTube chat, but I think Twitter's probably easier because you can share pictures and screenshots and things like that. Let's reminisce a little bit, and who knows, maybe Scotty gets one last hunt in before the morning drive is wrapped. Now, I only just got to know Scott, but man, what a character he is. We've had some really cool times, most of them being behind the scenes. We like to, well, we all seem to have, a few of us seem to have things in common. We like to go for sundowners, we like to go for runs or some form of physical activity of some kind, and music. And in Scott's case, specifically Jeremy Loops. So if you want to know what kind of music he's into, there we go. So you can that could always be heard from his tent between. So yeah, it is always quite fun. You can always just follow the music and you would find Scott. But it is going to be very, very sad to see you go. And I know that everyone is going to miss you a whole bunch. But who knows, maybe our paths will cross again sometime in the near future. I'm sure they all will. But anyways, I look forward to hearing from all of you about some of your favorite moments. One moment that I'm sad I didn't see was that one time that Scott tried to catch a catfish. Well, he did actually successfully catch a catfish. I watched a video of that. That was hilarious. Very dedicated. Actually, like AA plus 2 gold stars for effort there. I don't know if I could have done. I have to take my jersey off. I'm so sorry. I'm melting now. I'm melting, so this needs to be removed. It is so hot all of a sudden. I'm going to try to do this without taking the hat off. Done. Okay. Fix it. No, Nikki's telling me my hair is messy because it bothers me so much when my hair is untidy, especially when I'm at work. So I said to Nikki and Louise, I don't think Emma was back yet, but I was like, if my hair is untidy, tell me that it is messy because it doesn't look professional. But of course it's quite difficult with the wind blowing your hair around, and then when you take a jersey off and stuff like that. At least I didn't keep my collar up. You know, I could have done safaris now like this. Put my shades on. Really cool. I've actually seen a few safari guides with their collars pulled up like that, and I don't understand what the point is, but oh well. Each to their own. Everybody's got their safari fashion. Okay, let's see what else we can find here. There's lots of birds. Well, there were lots of birds. Now that I want to show you some, of course we probably won't see any. Where are you, birdies? Where are you, birds? That one's too high in the sky. Maybe we'll see something down here. Wonderful. Well, I'm going to think of my favorite moment that I've had with Scott, and we'll get VM to tell you his as well. Let's go and find out from Tristan and Craig what their favorite moments were.
Well, it is very sad, I think, Taylor, that Scotty's going. Scotty and I always have good fun together, and we've had some epic times, and it's sad to think that he's going. It's been actually being a sad morning because not only is this probably going to be my last drive with Scotty while I think he leaves today or tomorrow, doesn't he? So I won't be on drive this afternoon, which means that it'll be the last one that I'm doing with him. But it's always sad when somebody goes, especially Scotty. He brings so much life to camp. He's probably one of the people that has more energy than anyone I know, and generally gets the camp going, and he does so much for everybody else in camp that, you know, sometimes it makes me feel a bit guilty that we don't do as much in terms of getting the staff out and doing all kinds of fun activities. But I think my favorite Scott Dyson moment that I've had with him is because generally out here we don't actually have that many things that we do together out in the bush. You know, most of the time we're on our own vehicles doing our own things, but the Mara, when I was there, was very cool because Scott and I got to spend quite a lot of time together, and because we weren't broadcasting at the time, you know, we would meet up quite a lot out in the field, and we got to share quite quite a few sightings. The sausage tree hunt of that buffalo, both of us got to share that, which was an epic afternoon that we managed to kind of share together, and then even managed to somehow Scott resourced an apple juice to kind of toast our moment in the bush, so it was quite something. But I think my favorite memory was we had the Four Musketeers, and the two of us went there after dark in the Mara, no other cars, and we sat and chatted about all things in life while we had these 4 big male lions around us, and they were roaring and carrying on. It was just a very, very cool thing to do, and not something that you really get to do very often. And, you know, especially in the Mara, nobody else drives around at night, and so to be able to share that was very, very special. So we were very lucky indeed. Now, I'm also a bit frustrated, not with Scott at all, but with the fact that Thandi has just appeared with Osana now down in that southern corner. So right where we've been looking the whole morning, right where the giraffe was staring, Thandi has now also made an appearance. So not ideal. We'll have to try and get them this afternoon, or Sydney or Taylor will. Anyway, I'm going to carry on home. Scotty, I hope you go well, and good luck with the future. I'm sure we'll stay in contact, so I'm not too worried about it. But in the meantime, I'll send you back across to Taylor.
Right, so VM is going to tell you his favorite story. Actually, I'll stop the car. He's going to tell you his favorite story very quickly.
So my favorite story of Scotty was his birdhouse that he built. He made a hollow trunk and then he hung it up in a tree, but then no birds wanted to go live in it.
I was pretending to be VM. But that's really cool. Sorry, Scotty, that the birds didn't find your birdhouse as attractive as you thought it might be. Sounds about right, though. If we look at the weavers, it takes them forever between the male and female to agree on a nest. Anyways, my favorite moment wasn't necessarily one on safari. I've had many with Scott, but it was one time myself and Kirsten and Scott, we went out for a trail run, and we also decided to make a short video, and it was hilarious, from dancing on top of the escarpment with a rainbow in the background to me trying to do a karate kick, because Scott always does these and he always goes hiya, and he does karate kicks and things. So he did one, then I was like, I need to do one, but I'm going to jump, and then I fell over. It was quite funny. Then we made a slow-mo video of that. That was a really epic day, just in terms of how much fun we all had with one another, the laughs. And yeah, it was really cool. So for those of you that didn't get to know Scotty very well, maybe you're a new viewer, he's the kind of person that will literally give you the shirt off of his back. He will do anything he possibly can to help you rather than helping himself. So he puts people first before him, which is an amazing quality, and never lose it, Scotty. We'll miss you so much here. But anyways, you need all the minutes you can, because everybody's going to shed some tears. So from VM and I, we wish you well.
Shoo-wee! I've just been getting the updates as to what everyone's been saying, and I'm getting a little bit emotional already. So I need to try and keep things together. Like I said earlier, we really have been so lucky with the crew members and the incredible places where we get to have fun and explore with one another, as both Tristan and Taylor have just told you a whole bunch of epic memories, and it's so awesome being reminded of those things. There literally are so many funny and fun and cool things that have happened. I'm quite happy that VM reminded me about the birdhouse. You know, I gave that birdhouse to a friend of mine, and still probably now 3 years later, nothing has gone inside it. Although I think maybe, I must actually double check, I've got a portion of my memory telling me that maybe a squirrel may have moved in there temporarily. It must have been a very desperate squirrel. But yeah, thanks so much Tristan and Taylor and VM for reminding us of those cool memories, as well as all of you guys for letting us know your best moments and most memorable moments that we've been so lucky to share with one another live. It really is an incredible thing, this operation. X-Rang has just mentioned the time that I drove into a marula tree while I was trying to find out where a lilac-breasted roller had gone. That was a good one. Yeah, guys, really, like I said, there's nowhere else on the planet, no other company on the planet that can allow all of us to do what we do every single day, twice a day, and sometimes in between, with the unscheduled broadcast. So keep on supporting the crew and whoever the lucky individual is who gets to take my spot. I'm definitely looking forward to joining your club now as one of the viewers. I'll be sitting on the back with you, and I'll try my best to get involved as much as possible on the chats. So I'm looking forward to the change of scenery that you guys get to enjoy, hopping from vehicle to vehicle. And yeah, I'd just like to say one last massive thank you for all of your support. It's been an incredible 3 years, and who knows, in the future maybe we'll get to go out on safari again. There's definitely a good chance of that happening. And for now, we couldn't have asked, I don't think, for a better backdrop with this massive herd of wildebeest slowly making their way towards us after what has been a really epic final morning. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll keep in touch and keep supporting Safari Live.